Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise My Sexual Life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So tonight I want to discuss with you the strange things that happen when you have a phobia of needles and blood and you have to make every day count. So if you followed my journey for some time, you'll know that at the end of April, the 28th of April to be precise, I did an exercise, a business event, and it ended up the fact I have two broken bones in my spine, T8 and T9, if you want to look up what those vertebrae are in the spine. And I was misdiagnosed 3 times by NHS staff, 3 different NHS staff. And finally, when I did get sent for an x-ray because I thought I had a fracture in my back, it came back with 2 fractures in the back. Now, because I kept getting told it's a strain or sprain, just heal, you're just in a lot of pain because of your fibro, blah, blah, blah. And basically, I feel I wasn't taken that seriously. And because I've got fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and the muscles of the body, but it doesn't affect the bones, it's like they use that as an excuse for why I was in so much pain. And this is something I really don't like because I know my own body. I know what fibromyalgia pain feels like because I don't take medication for fibromyalgia. So I am with the pain 24/7, 365 days a year. So I understand what that feels like. And I know that it makes me hypersensitive towards pain. Like I feel pain 10 times more than the average person would. However, that doesn't negate the fact that I do know the difference between different types of pain. When I've got fibromyalgia pain, for example, period pain, or in this case, broken bones pain. And so it's just been like them not really taking it that seriously, I feel, then, until I finally got the x-rays. And even then, I saw my medical records and it said my previous doctor at that same surgery I'm still at, she looked at my x-rays and said abnormal but non-urgent, like can speak to the doctor when they see them, and at that point I hadn't even got a doctor's appointment. I only got a physio appointment coming up, and it's like, okay, non-urgent. Don't you think 2 broken bones in the spine is quite urgent? Considering that I've spent, like, weeks, well, over a month at that point, it was about 5 weeks, over 5 weeks, not knowing that I had a back break. Do you know what I mean? The spine is, like, central to the body. So, I was quite taken aback when I saw that on my medical records, but what was worse is when the physio, saw my breaks, she's like, "Oh, but I'm wondering what caused it." And I'm like, "I've already told you what caused it, the exercise I did at the business event." And she said, "Oh, you shouldn't just be able to break your back just from doing exercise like that." I said, "But they told us to go as far as we could go, and it was all an exercise to push through our limits and barriers and limiting beliefs." And so I did it, like, as far as I understand, I twisted my body around far more than an average person would. And my body's not used to doing that exercise. And I was perfectly fine the day before when I went to the business seminar. I was jumping up and down. I was perfectly fine 2 days before, like going upside down on roller coasters at Chessington World of Adventures. And yeah, so she thought there has to be something more to it because it's unusual. Just because it's unusual doesn't mean to say there's anything more to it. Anyway, she said she needed to speak to the spinal care team at the hospital. So she said, "I won't be able to talk to them now. I'll talk to them later and call you at home." So she spoke to the spinal care team, and this is when she came up with the fact, "I'll need a blood test and I need a bone density test," which was a shock in and of itself because I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, why would I have a problem with my bones? Just because I've got fractures, do you know what I mean? Doesn't mean to say there's a bone problem. But so she was saying about osteoporosis when I was even in the consultancy, but it's like I don't understand. Well, she said about bone density scan basically, but she didn't fully say what she meant. But then I looked it up and it's osteoporosis. And what she didn't tell me on the phone, which I found out myself from my medical records, is they also want me to be tested for myeloma, which is blood cancer to do with bone marrow. Well, this was absolutely shocking for me, as you can imagine, because if someone has blood cancer, they die of it, right? So this is the first time it's like I've stared death in the eye, potentially. You know what I'm saying? So it's all very upsetting for me and very worrying and anxiety inducing. And in order to find out more about whether I've got either of these things, I've been told by my doctor I have to have a blood test. I don't have to do the blood test if I really don't want to. He was using reverse psychology on me because he goes, "Oh, well, I know that you told me you get poorly with blood tests, so I'm not going to make you do it." I said, "But if I have the blood test and it comes back negative, will you accept then that it's the exercise that caused the injuries to my back?" And he said, "Yes. Otherwise, he won't accept it." And it's just so much stress. So this week on the 8th of August, it's now Tuesday, the 6th of August when I'm recording this, because we're in the middle of the night here in the UK, gone 1 a.m., right? My best friend has been spending extra time with me because I've been really, really upset and stressed out and anxiety induced. And the problem is one of the things that actually causes cancer, as far as I understand through my research, and the fact one of my ex-boyfriend's mum was a nurse, but I'm not a medical practitioner. Don't take my word for this. Go and seek a medical practitioner if you want this kind of information. One of the things that causes cancers is stress, high levels of stress in the body, right? So the problem is this whole situation with having a blood test is just making my anxiety and stress really bad. And I'm feeling really poorly, right? So it's so strange. So one of the things that went on the other day is I was getting really dizzy. Then I had low blood pressure. And like yesterday, I decided to try some of the cream because last year in May, I got asked by a paramedic to do a blood test and I refused it, which she's not used to because I have a genuine phobia of needles and blood. Unless I absolutely think it's totally necessary to have a blood test, I won't have one because it makes me so poorly that it makes me more ill than the thing I'm having the blood test for in the first frigging place. And at the moment, with my back healing, you can't heal as easily and quickly if you're in stress situation, if your body's in stress state and highly anxiety induced state, it doesn't help you to heal. So this is stunting my healing growth. And I'm hoping and praying that I'm right, that I don't have either of these things, that it was just the exercise, like I said it was in the first place. But this is, as far as I'm concerned, is putting me under undue necessary stress and anxiety. But obviously, if someone's told you you've got a possibility of having blood cancer, then you start getting these things in your mind about your life. Like, okay, if your life was to end tomorrow, Sandra, what would you wish you've done? Like, if you did have that, how many months would you have to live? How many weeks? Or would it be actually years? Like, how would you live? How do you know what stage you would be at? And could they even declare it's non-urgent originally at the state of my x-rays, when now all of a sudden it's like got to this stage? It's really horrible, you know. I hope I don't have any of these. It doesn't mean to say I've got either of them. I don't think I've got either of them, but the spinal care team should know what they're talking about. However, 3 times I've been misdiagnosed with an NHS member of staff. Now 3 times, and I've been right and they were wrong. So when things like this happen, you kind of think like, well, you know, life's too short. And anyway, yeah, I tried. So back in May last year, I got asked by the paramedic to do a blood test and I refused it. But she said, if you change your mind, I'm sending you a prescription of this cream, which is an anesthetic that you put on an hour before you're due to have a blood test, which should, like, you know, make it so you can't, you know, it's not going to hurt, basically. So I had some of this. I had the cream left for this time because I am having the blood test this time because obviously I want to rule out cancer or osteoporosis. And I thought I need to try this before actually the day comes, because if I'm allergic to it, because I'm allergic to so much stuff, then it's not going to be very good for me. You know, I'm going to have, I might even have to stop having the test if I have an allergic reaction. So On Sunday, with my best friend present, I tried a bit of this cream, and I was allergic to both the cream and the dressing. Look, can you see? I don't know if you can see that, but see? This is what happened when I tried it, and my whole arm completely went in so much pain. It's supposed to stop pain. I was in such horrendous pain. I kept the dressing on for half an hour, but when you do the real thing, you're meant to put a lot more on, and it's supposed to be for at least an hour to 5 hours. I spent half an hour with the dressing on with it, and just look at the reaction. I had, like, red all around where the plaster was as well, and it's just horrendous, but my actual arm was in so much pain, like agony. So years ago, I was in the hospital with a pelvic infection, a chest infection, low blood pressure all at once. I couldn't stand up, and it was over Easter, so I was in hospital for 5 days, and they put a needle in my arm, and it was like a drip. And I'm like, and I refused for them to take it out. So I had it in there the whole 5 days, and my arm was in so much pain. It was just in agony, but I wouldn't let them change the needle. They were putting morphine in, and they overdosed me on morphine. I have to say, I don't take drugs ever in my life, but they overdosed me and I hallucinated really badly with it. They gave me a double dose, one of the nurses did, by accident. But anyway, so yeah, with this arm, it really felt in so much pain. It was like in absolute agony. And it reminded me, it like flashed back to the time when I was in hospital. I was in so much pain because I left the needle and wouldn't let them take it out. So I actually got the pain in my arm. It didn't numb the pain, it caused me pain, the whole thing. And it was so bad. It was all the way up here. And as you can see, I reacted really badly. So I can't have the anesthetic cream and I can't have a dressing either. So that's ruled that out. So I'll have to have the needle as I've had it before, but I hardly ever have blood tests, to go straight into my arm because it'd probably be less painful than actually that was. So I tried that and that was really bad. I'm so allergic to stuff. And then the same night after I tried the anesthetic, under this eye, the skin starts twitching, which is a really strange thing to happen. It just, like, all of a sudden starts twitching the eye socket. So I looked this up, and one of the top causes of that is anxiety. So it's like my body is reacting to the stress and anxiety of this whole situation. Like I said, the other day I was dizzy. I got low blood pressure. How do I know that? Because I've actually got a blood pressure monitor. It's 105, which is basically a 14-year-old's blood pressure. I like to live a 21-year-old mindset life and live like a teenager, but I shouldn't really have age 14 blood pressure, low blood pressure, 105 it was. So yeah, and I was feeling dizzy at the time, but you know what I mean? It's like the stress, anxiety under the twitching under my eye, like under here, that starts. That is to do with stress, anxiety. Now I have digestive issues that I had before I found out I was having the blood test. But obviously having the blood test has probably exacerbated my digestive issues. So now I can barely eat anything. And so it's just so horrible. Like, people do not realize a lot of the time what it's like to have a genuine phobia of needles and blood. I mean, I'm literally forcing myself to do something that my whole body and being is fighting against. And I'm forcing myself to do this. It's so horrible. And the physiology of what happens in my body, which obviously affects my mental health as well, is just really bad. It really makes me poorly so much. And, I don't think doctors really understand it. To them, it's like, oh, have to have this and that's it. It's just so horrible. And for me, the phobia is the needles, the phobia is blood, but it's also having blood taken out of me. I'm like, well, how long does it take for the blood to get, for new blood to come back in you? Like, if they're zapping all your blood away. Do you know what I mean? It's really horrible. My best friend looked it up for me, actually. And if you're a blood donor, which obviously I'm having I'm having two lots of blood taken out of me. Not one, but two, which makes it even worse for me. But it's supposed to be the same needle, but it's still not good. And I usually, not all the time, but I have in the past been known for the whole room to go great and for me to nearly pass out. Once I had a blood test years ago, my mum was with me for that, and literally I think I was laid there for 20 minutes out of it nearly, because I just didn't have, like I didn't have the capacity to be able to sit up and be okay. The whole room was going grey. And when my mum had a major operation years ago, major operation, she just come out of the operation, and I think she obviously been in recovery, and she was in the ward, and she had tubes in it, and the nurses were more worried about me than my mum that she just had the major operation. They were like, "Are you all right? You're really pale." And I had to go out and sit in the corridor, because that's how I get. I mean, I had to, years ago, go to a hospital with a friend. I'm not going to reveal the details, but there was blood on the bed, and I was sat in the chair, and the whole room was going grey, and I was nearly passing out again. So I have a real big fear of phobia of needles, blood. So I find what helps is taking food with me. So as soon as I'm distracting myself while I'm actually having it by talking, and like talking about other stuff while it's being done, and obviously looking the other way, I don't go looking at it. I would make you really poor if I looked at it. And then having someone with me, my best friend's coming with me this time for the first time. They're staying in a hotel in my city, and going as early as I can in the morning. So I'm going at 8:40 this Thursday, but there's 2 people in before me. I thought it was the first bit, but I'm not. The woman nurse starts her job at 8:20. She's got 2 people in before me. So it means that I have to wait around if things are late with them as well. And obviously, I've got all the worry about the fact of the 2 things they're going to be testing me for, the osteoporosis or blood cancer. I mean, one of them is completely fatal. Do you know what I mean? It's horrible to even put that in my mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm praying I don't have them. I don't think I would have either of them. I told the doctor I don't really have any symptoms of either of them. Obviously, I've got fractures, which fractures is one of the symptoms of both of them. And I'm not a skinny girl. That's about the only 2 things that's 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 a possibility. But the rest of the symptoms, I don't have either of them. I'm actually very flexible, considering I've got 2 broken bones in my back, So I think it would be pretty weird if me to have either of them. I mean, in January, I actually fell over, and my right knee went straight into like the concrete ground in the city, smashed into it. But I still didn't have any broken bones from that. And I just put ice packs on it for a lot of hours, 3 hours, and then 2 hours later, because I had to go to London the next day in January. So I get all my knee suitable for going to London the next day, even though I think I was hobbling a bit. I managed to get it better overnight, but it was literally a huge lump. And it was because it was in winter then, and it was like, if I got a problem with my bones, then in theory that would have ended up in a break then, but it hasn't happened. I know I've fallen up the stairs a few times here, and that didn't result in a break either. So I think it's pretty impossible for me to have either of these 2 things. But obviously, like with a spinal team and the physio saying all this stuff, it's horrible, because you do think, well, what if you haven't got long to live, Sandra? And the anticipation of waiting, because I've had to wait over 2 weeks for a blood test, because they got a backlog of blood tests, right? The anticipation of waiting for this. I've got obviously have the test, which is really, really bad for me. I'm really not looking forward to it. I really don't want it. My body just doesn't want it, but I'm gonna have to try and relax as much as possible when the day comes. And it's just so anxiety inducing for me. Then I've got to wait for the results, which is more anxiety inducing for me. You know what I mean? And then if there's anything on it, I'll probably have to have more blood tests and come in and see them. And it's all frightening. I don't want to be going through this. This is such a bad time in my life, this particular thing. It's awful, because you think, well, what if you did have the CNANCER word? Like, how long would you have to live? What would you be doing right now? What can you do right now? What do you need to finish off in your life? And so, as a treat, because I think it's important to reward yourself when you go through a lot of difficulties in life, or a difficulty. So first of all, I'll be taking food with me, because I find out that food helps me recover quickly. So I can't have artificial sugar. So I can only have natural sugar. But I found in the past, like, a banana really helps, even though I don't usually eat bananas because they're high in sugar. They're often too sugary for me. I found that sugar-free ice cream, which is sweetened with agave syrup, really helps usually as well. Especially because if I focus on the ice cream, which I hardly ever have, then I can think, oh, I'm having the ice cream in a minute. And as soon as it's over, I can have the ice cream. So it helps me to feel better. Fruit juice helps me to feel better. So what I'm going to be doing is taking a cool bag with all this food in. But my best friend, because they're worried for me, they said I'm going to need that food as well. I'm like, okay. So I might have to make sure we've got food for both of us. Have a picnic in the doctor's surgery. But of course, I have said, make sure it's on my records that I've got anxiety with this. They've put that my friend's coming with me, my best friend, I might add. But I said make sure anxiety's on there. But when I asked one of the reception team, is it on there? Because the other person was supposed to put it on there, they didn't put it on there. So I don't know if they have or not. But I have to tell them as soon as I get in there, because obviously I'm going to be very stressed and highly anxiety induced. And I hope the person's gentle. I am really scared about doing it. It's awful for me. My body, my physiology changes, so it makes it very tense and very anxiety induced. It's horrible. I usually refuse them, but obviously with it being the fact that they're saying osteoporosis or cancer, which are completely life-changing, cancer being the worst, obviously, is just like something I have to do. This is a serious situation. I have to do it. But it's like, so anyway, I think it's important to book yourself a treat up after you've done something. So first of all, I've booked Frankie Goes to Bollywood in London on the 15th of August, which is exactly a week later. So I was hoping my results would be back before then. And I've booked it to celebrate the fact that I've done the blood test by then. But I had the ingenious idea, where I was with my best friend earlier, about the fact I needed to go and watch Aladdin. It just came to my mind that I wanted to see Aladdin because I've been playing the Aladdin song, I like Meena Masood. He's very good looking. He looks Indian, but he's not. Anyway, they had the actual theatre performance on at the Theatre Royal in Plymouth in the UK. And I didn't go and see it then. And I thought, I really want to go and see that. It'd be a nice extra treat for myself. So when my best friend looked it up with me, he found out that it's definitely off Plymouth, Plymouth Theatre Royal, but it is doing a tour of the UK for the rest of the year. So this week it's in Bristol just for 1 week only, which is the nearest place after Plymouth to my city. And so then I had the ingenious idea to go and book a ticket up, right? So, but I needed a matinee performance really. So I wanted to know if it was going to be, because I thought I was just going to go for the day. So I'm like, is it going to be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? It says there were matinee performances. And then I know me and my best friend want to go this month anyway to Bristol Zoo. And it's Bristol that is showing out this week. So I said to my best friend, maybe it'd be a good idea for me to stay up there a night, because then it would save me money. Because if I'm going to be paying a lot of money to go back to Bristol, to go to the zoo with him, and also we talked about going to Bristol Aquarium. Well, that's 2 other places I want to go to Bristol. So I said to him, I was looking through hotels and I said it might be cheaper or better value basically for me to stay up there, because if I'm going to, it's like £25 something each time I go up there. So to go up there for 3 different days would be £75. So I said to him, if I go and get a hotel, I mean, I'd still have to pay one lot of £25 for an open return. But I said if I could get a hotel for 2 nights, we could do it. I could go to the theatre, and then the next 2 days we could do to the zoo and aquarium. But I didn't know how he'd feel about it, because next week he's going away. He's going away to Bournemouth the same day as me, but I go to London. I'm just going to London for the day on the 15th. So he's got 15th and 16th booked up. So I proposed that we go on the Sunday. I go on the Sunday on the 11th, and then he lives not far from Bristol. He only lives like half an hour away on the train, whereas for me it's like an hour and something. So I proposed that I go up there on the Sunday, book the ticket, because I got a really good ticket. I got just over 20 quid ticket, but it's in a, it looks like it's quite hot, but it's looking down at the middle of the stage. So it doesn't look like there's any restrictions in view there, which looks really good. So I proposed that I stayed there Sunday night and Monday night if I could find a good hotel. I found the Ibis Hotel, and it's like £147 for 2 nights, which is really amazing for 2 nights. And because most of the hotels are already booked up at this time, because it's peak season, it's the summer, August. And Bristol is quite a big city, So anyway, I said to my best friend, because he's really busy, he's also got something on the Wednesday. So it would mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And he might be seeing me Saturday as well. Don't know about that yet. But it would mean he's like busy every day. And my best friend's an introvert. So he doesn't usually be around people for that amount of time. He usually goes off his own, walking in countrysides, which is really good for him. But I said, as I'm up there and I'm going to be paying £50 more to come back 2 more times, over £50 more anyway, and the hotel's £149 for 2 nights, it really makes sense. I'm just paying, what, £100 to stay up there 2 more nights. It's like a mini holiday for me and a reward. And also I get to go to the theatre and I don't have to worry about coming back. So he had to think about it. I said, okay, if that's what you really want to do. So I booked it up. And I don't usually, I'm a real organised person. So booking things up in the same week is something that's usually never, ever done by me. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm late to this stream tonight, because usually I would be streaming before midnight on the 5th of August. It's now already the 6th of August. And I didn't begin this stream till like just about nearly 1 a.m, right? But I believe that life is so short, and at the moment I'm paying a lot for my health products to sort my digestion system out myself, but also I'm going out a lot more because I find that in the run up to the blood test, it helps if I'm out a lot. I've actually got the cinema booked up again today. Harold and the Purple Crayon. It's only costing me £5, but I've got that booked up for 3:30 today. And then my best friend is coming the day before my blood test, which is now tomorrow, Wednesday, and then my blood test is on Thursday. So I find that I've been going out with him. It's costing me a lot of money, but I'm putting it down as like health, because I really feel like by keeping myself occupied and going out, I'm trying to keep my stress and anxiety levels to an absolute minimum, which isn't easy because I do have generalized anxiety disorder condition and it's really high. But trying to keep myself like stressed down, trying to feel as relaxed as possible, it's hard, but it's better when I go out. It's better than I see my best friend go out. It's when I'm making arrangements like this, they're non-refundable. Lee, I hope we're going to get a movie review for that. Oh yes, you will get a movie for review for the Purple Crane film I'm watching. Definitely. That'll be tomorrow's live stream. Yeah, definitely. So well, it might be today's now because we're already through to Tuesday. I missed a Monday evening live stream out because in the UK we're on a Tuesday here. But yes, that'll be my next live stream. So, but I just feel better going out. But now I've put Bristol up, I feel it's really good. But it's not something I would usually do because Bristol is this week. I'm going literally this Sunday, then Monday and Tuesday next week. Then I'm home for Wednesday. Then Thursday I'm in London all day. So this is like really weird for me. So it's Tuesday the 6th of August when I'm recording this live in the UK, right? 1:26 a.m. to be precise, in the middle of the night. And then later on at 3:30 p.m. today, I've got the cinema booked. And then tomorrow, Wednesday the 7th of August, 2024, I'm recording this. My best friend is literally staying at a hotel. He's going for a walk first, and then I'll see him about 2 o'clock. And then we'll be going out to go and spending some time together. And then the morning of the 8th of August is when I'm actually having the blood test, which is quite petrifying. But it's horrible because I get really churning in my stomach. I feel really, it doesn't feel good to me because I'm forcing myself to do something I really don't want to do. It's very difficult, but I'm doing it for my own good. So I have to think about that. But I'm praying that the results come back negative and I don't have anything more to worry about. Then I can get on with healing my actual back. Breaks that I'm still doing my exercises, I'm doing well at them, but some days I'm doing really good at them, and then other days I can't do much or any of them because I find like I take one step forward with my back, feel really, really empowered, like I'm really strong, and then the next day I'm just exhausted. Like obviously anxiety and stress makes you exhausted, and having a back injury with 2 broken bones in your back, that makes me exhausted, so I've got 3 lots of exhaustion going on at the moment. So it means that like I find that if I walk a little bit, I'm okay. But if I walk too far, when I say too far with the injuries, normally I would be able to. I mean, obviously I can't always walk loads because of my fibromyalgia, but when I can walk these days, there's a certain like distance I can walk and usually be okay. But I find that it's too much for me with my injuries. It kind of makes my back hurt again. And I did do lots of exercise earlier, but I overdid it, I think, because my back started hurting again. So if everything comes back negative, it's going to be the best case scenario for me. Obviously, I'll be celebrating. I'll be so happy. And it's important to still celebrate your life though while you are alive, because none of us ever know whether our last second is like now. Do you know what I mean? No one knows even if they're going to wake up the next day, really, because anyone can just be gone in a flash. So when you have a thing going on like this with, with the fact that you've got being tested for osteoporosis and blood cancer, these are two really life-changing, and obviously one is fatal conditions. And so it really changes your mind. You're like, well, why not spend a bit more money and go out and enjoy yourself? Why not book up to trip to Bristol? You haven't actually stayed in Bristol for years. You haven't been there for a very long time. Why not go out and have fun? Because the antidote to like stress and anxiety is going out and having fun, joy, happiness, and laughter. And after this trauma that I'm going through at the moment, I will need as much of that as possible. And it's good, like in the lead up to the blood test, the anxiety and stress inducement, that if you can counteract that with as much positivity and as much good interactions and as much fun stuff as possible to try to take your mind off it, although it doesn't always take my mind off it. I mean, it's a really big deal for me. These things are big issues. They're not something just simple like, oh, you could just have a vitamin deficiency or something. Although they have mentioned about that'll show up on the blood test as well. Because a vitamin deficiency can just be corrected easily. Do you know what I mean? The doctor said that as an add-on to the other things that I've got to go for. He goes, oh yeah, and if you have got any vitamin deficiencies, it should show that up as well. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's just horrible. I mean, it honestly makes you think, like, with the blood cancer thing, I'm like, why aren't they being more urgent about it? I mean, that is a potentially life-changing fatal condition, and they're not being very urgent about it. They weren't urgent in the first place about the x-rays, just saying it's abnormal, but not urgent. And I'm like, how can it go from my results being 2 broken bones that they termed as non-urgent to, like, the stuff they're suggesting? And there's not much urgency with that either. And it's like, what the hell? And so at the moment in the UK, I feel like it's help yourself NHS, meaning you've basically got to help yourself in, like, because one of the asexual people in one of my groups, she said, "Oh, what care plan have they put in place for your back?" I'm like, "There isn't any." I'm like, "I'm seeing the physio, but that's at my own request." Other than that, there isn't any. Most people who have broken bones in their back, they have a back brace. They have some way of actually holding the bones in place to heal. I haven't had any of that because they didn't even believe I got one broken bone in my back, let alone 2. They just kept saying it's a strain or a sprain. I mean, it's just so bad. They don't believe. I know my own body. I know well enough. Lee, this is peculiar. I had a cancer scare a while ago and was automatically put into the cancer fast track system. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's so stupid. But I mean, the doctor did agree that I don't really have any of the symptoms of them. Of either of I don't really have the symptoms of osteoporosis or blood cancer. My own doctor said that. So it's just stupid to even suggest, the spinal team and my physio to really suggest it. But that's what they've suggested. And so I said to the doctor, I said, so if it comes back negative, will you just accept the fact it was the accident that caused the injury? And he's like, yes. Well, that's true. I don't know, but I have to take his word for it. But yeah, exactly. It's very weird. It's like, well, if there was some, if it was a problem, then why is it just being left? It's just so strange. And what's even worse is, like, I asked him, can I have a blood test? Because I got, sorry, not can I have a blood test? Can I have a urine test, basically, instead of a blood test, And he said no. And I said, I know someone who told me they got osteoporosis, and you can tell by the urine if they've got it or not. You can do a urine test for it or a blood test. And he's like, oh no, blood test or nothing, right? And then at the very end, when I went to leave, he gave me a bottle and said, oh, you need to do a urine test and bring it the same day with you. And I thought, that's such a liar then. That would be a first if you asked for a blood test. Yeah, no, I didn't ask for a blood test. I meant that I asked for a urine test instead of a blood test. I always try to ask for different tests. I specifically asked the physio if I really can have a different test. She goes, oh, you'll have to ask your own doctor for that. But it sounded like it wasn't going to be viable. But she didn't tell me about the blood cancer. She only told me about the bone density at that point and the fact they wanted me to have a blood test. And I said I was prepared, and she said there's a scan you can have. So I said I'm prepared to have the scan. So I told the doctor this, but then but I'd already seen by then the blood cancer thing on there. And he's like, oh no, you have to have he goes, I can refer you for the bone density, but you might not get it because actually you don't have that many symptoms of it. And they work on a point system. And the spinal care team are one team in the hospital. They're not the same team who does the actual scan. And because you don't have actually that many symptoms of osteoporosis, there's a point system and you might not have enough points. So even though he's referring me, I might not actually have the scan, even though the spinal care team at Exeter Hospital has recommended the scan. It's like, what the F? He goes, oh, just because he goes, even if I refer you for it, someone might reject it when they look at it because you don't have the symptoms of it. I'm like, to my mind, it's like, well, why the F am I having to go through all this rubbish stuff there? And then, so when he gave me this urine bottle, I just thought to myself, he must be lying then. Why give me a urine? Ask me to do a urine test if you can't find this out from a urine test. So when I spoke to the physio after I saw him, I spoke to the physio the next day, saw the physio. I told her this. I said, well, he must have been lying then. She goes, oh, I'll have a look. So he's put down that the blood test is for osteoporosis and the urine test is for blood cancer. And I'm thinking to myself, if this is true, why didn't he just ask me to do a urine test there and then? Why wait for over 2 weeks, like 2.5 weeks to do that with a blood test? To my mind, it makes no effing sense. I'm like, surely if you're being tested for blood cancer, that should be done immediately. But no, because he told me originally you can't even do a test to find this out. It's ridiculous. It's just a load of crap. Excuse my language. I hope to God that it is all negative and then I can just put this rubbish behind me because I'm absolutely fed up and quite angry with it, really, because 3 times I've been misdiagnosed. They didn't even really bother that much. It was like, oh, you got a back strain or sprain, it'll get better. You're just in pain from your fibro at the moment. It'll just take time. This is that like flippant attitude. And then all of a sudden it's, oh, but it could be one of these. So you better have the test, because it's not normal. And they don't believe that that I broke my back that way. There's got to be some underlying cause of it. It just drives you nuts. I'm like, well, you haven't even really been that interested for that. I mean, you've taken an interest as far as you have to take an interest, but you haven't been. It's not like you've been like, oh my God, I agree with you. I think you've got a fracture. Even on my medical records, when I got sent for the X-ray for my back, because I said I feel like I've been in a car accident, even though I haven't. I feel like I'm walking around with a dagger shoved in my back permanently, and it's so much pain. And my ribs are in absolute agony. They feel like I've been stabbed as well, because I reckon I broke my ribs as well, but there's no proof of that. And it's like, oh, even on my medical records, it goes, oh, I've told Sandra, I think it's just a strain or a sprain, but she has got some red flag symptoms this time, the second time I've seen the physio, which she wasn't going to see me a second time, which I was kind of insistent on. She sent me for the X-ray as just a precaution, basically, and it came back with 2 fractures. First of all, she said it was 1, and then I said, can I see it? And then she's opened the file up and said, oh, actually, it's 2. Do you know what I mean? It's like, where is the care in this? It's like all of it, you don't care when I've actually been telling you the truth and telling you that I'm in agony, telling you that it's more, that I think it's more than just a sprain or strain. And then all of a sudden, it's non-urgent when I get my results back in my medical records. So it's abnormal but non-urgent. Then all of a sudden, it's these 2 things, possibly. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. It caused me so much anguish and so much, just like, but I am going to Bristol this week. So I'm going to Bristol this Sunday after my blood test. And then Monday and Tuesday next week, I'll be there. I'm going for 2 nights. And then next week on the Thursday, I'm away. So I'm only back for 1 day, but it's good to have treats. But yeah, I'm thinking, well, I may as well, I know it's costing me a lot of money this month, but I'm thinking, Sandra, you're worth it, because how do you know how long you got to live, really? I mean, hopefully I've got years to live, but you know what I mean? When they say stuff like that of what I'm going to be tested for, how do I actually know? I don't really. Well, if I trust myself, which I do, then I've got years to live, right? But if I'm taking their opinions into account, then I don't know how long I've got, do I? So it makes you think, like, why not just go and live? Why not just book a holiday up? Why not just go and do the things you want to do in your life? I want to go and see Aladdin. So why not? Why not stay for Bristol a couple of nights? Be a nice holiday away after all the stress I've had doing the blood test, which hasn't been done yet. But after that, it'll be good to like celebrate and de-stress, But obviously, I'll still be anxious about the results, you know. And I hope to God there's nothing on them, because if there is something on them, they'll probably tell me to have another blood test. Oh, we need to do more tests on you now. So why can't you just and find the whole stuff out through one blood test? I don't want to have to have multiple of them. If I had got the CANCER word, I think that's multiple blood tests all the time. But even if you've got osteoporosis, it's multiple blood tests all the time, I think. Like multiple as in constant, a lot of them. But I personally don't think I should have either of them because I don't have the symptoms. I'm really strong. I can literally stand on my toes or just on one leg. I've even been practicing lately with damage to my spine, right? Broken bones in my spine. I've even been practicing lately, stood just on one foot, the other foot is up, and on the toes of that one foot. I can only do it for a few seconds because it's really hard. It's like being a ballerina. I'm trying to balance on just my 5 toes of one foot without the heel on the floor, and with the other foot entirely off the floor. That is really hard to do. And I can't believe that someone who possibly have osteoporosis is able to even stand on one leg, let alone do this stuff. I'm actually very flexible. I mean, even with my legs now, see? I can put this right up here. I've been able to do this for years. To me, this is not someone who's got problems with their bones. And actually, I'll probably say it's the opposite. You know what I mean? Look at this. And I got damage to my back, although I am getting somewhat better now. But you know what I'm saying? It's not normal. I can do the same with this one as well. I can't put it up as far. It doesn't come up as far as the other one because of my hip. But yeah, but it's hurting my back doing that now because it's obviously making my spine arch. But I can do stuff like that. You know what I mean? If I got a problem with my bones, I don't think I'll be able to do it. I can't even see. I've got fibromyalgia and I can do that. Fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. You know what I mean? Doesn't affect the bones though. But you know what I mean? I'm so flexible. It's not normal. I'm more flexible than able-bodied people. Not every able-bodied person, but some. Obviously, some are very flexible. They can do the Buddha pose. They can do all sorts of shapes with their body. But to say I'm not a skinny girl, like I've got fibromyalgia, and you know what I mean? I've also got back injuries at the moment. I think that's pretty damn good. So I think it's so stupid. Like they're even suggesting these things to me, really. But obviously, I can't but not take it serious because it's like, well, the physio and spinal team said it, you know what I mean? But I'm praying that I'm completely right in the fact that it was the exercise. Well, it was the exercise that did it anyway, regardless of if I did have some underlying cause. But I don't think there is some underlying cause because I was perfectly fine until I did that accident. Exercise which caused the accident, which basically was the accident, So yeah, it's just really hard for me. So it makes you think like, well, why not spend money? Because if you didn't know how long you had to live, then it's better to go out and spend it and enjoy it and do what you want and enjoy life, isn't it? Life's too freaking short. And even in the lead up to the blood test, I'm like, well, just go out, just go to cinema, go and eat food out, just don't be indoors if it's too much for you, if it's going to cause you more stress and anxiety. You need to keep your anxiety and stress to an absolute minimum. And clearly it's affecting me badly. When I start to get, it's not all the time, I haven't got it now, but I had it even earlier when I was on the stream, started it. I get twitching here, and that's clearly like a sign of like anxiety. So it's like my body has like responses which I have no control over, really. It's like the nervous system automatically responds to things in certain ways. So it becomes like you can't control it that much or as much as you'd like to. And fatigue. Yeah, chatterbox. Yeah, fatigue. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the injuries, the stress, anxiety, the whole lot of them together, it does zap my energy somewhat. So I find that if I do walk I find that if I do a short near walk, it's okay, but even, like, going into the city, I went with my best friend earlier, we were doing food shopping and stuff. By the end of it, I'm knackered. I mean, I'm really tired out. I mean, I've still got enough energy to talk and stuff, but, my body is, like, feeling pain. It's hurting just from doing stuff like that because it is like fatigue. It's like energy zapping. Stress zaps your energy, anxiety zaps your energy, and obviously you have 2 broken bones in your back trying to recover, although it's not as painful as it used to be, is still, haven't got full range of movements yet. Is still very anxiety inducing. For the first time last night, I was able to lay on my left side again. I used to lay on my left side all the time to sleep, but I haven't been able to because my ribs have been in too much pain. So I had to sleep on my back, and then later on, over the last 2 weeks, I think it is, I've been able to sleep sometimes on my right side, but I hadn't been able to sleep on my left side till it wasn't even last night really, it was in the early hours of this morning when I decided I'd go back to sleep and try sleeping on the left side for a bit. And so, yeah, and I dreamt of a cockatiel then, a baby cockatiel. I had this dream that in my flat, a bird appeared in my kitchen. And I'm like, oh, I looked at it and thought, oh, it's just a wild bird. And I looked closely, I'm like, no, it's a pet cockatiel. It must have escaped somewhere. So I somehow had this cage, which I don't have in real life, but it was my flat in real life here. And that was in the dream. So, it wasn't actually real life, but in real life, it was the dream was replicating my real life flat. But the bird never happened in real life, and I don't have a cage for it, but in my dream, I had a cage. I happened to have a cage and put it in that because I'm like, "Oh, it must be someone's pet because it's clearly like a cockatiel, it's not a wild bird," and it's like it was a baby one in my dream. But actually, I read about the spiritual meaning of that, and it means, a positive outcome. So I'm hoping and praying that's a good omen for me. It symbolises positivity, happiness, like vibrancy, I think with the colours as well, but particularly it's usually a good outcome. That's what it means. So I'm hoping, and transformation and renewal and all that type of thing. So I'm hoping it's going to be all right. But yeah, it's just really strange. The dizziness, the low blood pressure, the under eye twitching, the need to go out all the time, a lot of the time, need to speak to people more, need to be like you do like have your life flash before you when thinking, well, what if you know what I mean? And it's important that you go out and enjoy yourself. It's important that you pay for stuff. It's important you take many holidays. It's important you have more joy and happiness in your life, Sandra. It's important you go out more because who we don't actually know, do we, how long we've got to live, any of us? But when you've got the prospect of even a remote possibility of this thing, you know what I mean? You're like, it's better to take the opportunity now and actually go somewhere and do things you enjoy rather than not. Because if you did have something fatal, which I hope I've not got, then you would regret it if they told you, oh, well, you don't have long to be here on planet Earth anymore. Do you know what I mean? Then you'd be thinking, well, I've just wasted like those weeks being stressed and anxiety induced and haven't done anything. Jump in feet first, yes, chatterbox, yeah. Yeah, that's what I just thought. My friend's not used to that, but they have said they um like, they're not gonna be with me on the Sunday, but on the Monday and the Tuesday, because they've got a full week next week, but they're giving me extra support, but I know it's quite overwhelming for them because they're not extrovert like me. But yeah, I think, given the circumstances, it is basically like let's just book it, let's do it because it's £147 for 2 nights, which is really good for peak summer at Bristol, major city. And I'm like, this is just too good an opportunity to miss. And I want to do, I was going to have to go back twice anyway to go there. I may as well do it all in one go because then it's like like I'm up there in it and I can relax more when I'm going back to a hotel. You know what I mean? And it'll just be nice to hang around Bristol, go somewhere different, be in a different city for a time. I'll have the Friday and Saturday this week to prepare to go because it takes me ages usually to prepare. I usually spend a week preparing before I go away anywhere. So I haven't got a week. It's this week I go at the end of this week. And so it's like, oh my God. But luckily it's the summer. I don't have to pack as much stuff because it's like, it's the summer. So, and I don't want to be packing too much with my back. And obviously I'm going to have to get on and off the train with a case with my back, which is not great. But I did it in London. last month, and I got guys to help me on and off the train with my case, so I'll have to try and ask them to do that again, but it shouldn't be too bad because I should get on at Bristol and go straight to the I should go on it, get on an extra, I'll ask for someone to help me on extra, and then it should just be able to take the case off at the other end. It's just putting my case back on, but I don't know if my best friend will be on the same train as me coming back. If they are, then they can put my luggage on for me. If not, then I'll have to get someone else to put it on for me. But yeah, it basically is like jumping feet first at the moment. Like, I'm like, just go for it, Sandra. Why not? Life is too short and you're better off just going for it, living a bit, This is your time to live. God's given you an opportunity to like say, hey, if you were confronted with this, what would happen? What would you do? Where would you go? Who would you speak to? What things would you sort out? What things would you focus on? And you need to be enjoying yourself more. It's hard to enjoy myself though, when obviously, even though I have had the blood test by then, I still won't know the results. And obviously, I don't know how I'm going to be in the blood test. So, the stuff I booked up is non-refundable. So I have to make sure I'm well enough to go on the Sunday. I mean, hopefully I should be well enough after the blood test after a while, that day to be okay. But it just means I could be out of it for a bit. But yeah, I've booked non-refundable stuff because it's the cheapest way of doing it. Non-refundable hotel ticket, non-refundable train. But the train, I've got a open return, so I can return any time I want within a month. And I've booked the ticket for the actual event, the Aladdin theatre performance, 1:30 matinee performance on Sunday. This Sunday, it's only in Bristol for this 1 week. So Sunday's the last day of it in Bristol, and then it's going to other places in the UK. So I'm like, yay. But it feels good. I do feel excited, and being excited about things and having things to look forward to does counteract some of the anxiety and stress. Lee, make sure you're well hydrated before the blood test. Oh, thank you, Lee. Well, I can actually eat as well. It's not a fasting one, so I'm really happy about it because I asked the doctor, is it a fasting one or can I still eat? And he's like, no, you can still eat. I'm like, I think I should be eating a lot before I go, but the problem is with that, it might elevate my levels of stuff in my blood if I eat a lot before I go. But I think I'll have to eat a lot before I go. But it's afterwards I take food, so I need natural sugar to make sure I don't have all this room going grey stuff. It's usually I can't have refined sugars because I'm allergic to sugar, so I have to have natural sugars. So I have to take a lot of foods that are quick sugar release so that it brings my levels back up, because I think my blood sugar levels just go really down when I have blood taken out of me. But yeah, when we looked it up, me and my best friend looked because I get worried about having blood taken out of me. I'm, well, this is not good. Like, how does it get replenished? Like, how long does it take to get new blood in you? And when my best friend looked it up, they had something on the internet about blood donors, which obviously they're going to give it a lot more blood than I am, but it does take weeks to replenish it for blood donors. So it's still going to take a little while to replenish mine. I said to my best friend, it must be so bad, people that have to go for blood tests all the time, because they're just constantly having blood taken out of them. How can that be healthy and good for them? It really can't. I don't know how they do it. My mum's always going for blood tests. She's diabetic, so she has to inject herself and do blood pricking things at home all the time. She's the opposite to me. She couldn't care less. She's like, oh, it's fine. I'm just used to it. But with me, I've got like anxiety and stress over the needle, anxiety and stress over the blood, and anxiety and stress over the blood being taken out of my body. I don't like it. I'm like, well, I've only got, my blood's my blood. Why are you taking it out of me? I need it. You know what I'm saying? The body needs blood. And you're going to take 2 lots out of me. This is not good for me. You know what I mean? So I just hate it. And some tests you can do by urine and poo sample even. You don't need to have a blood test. That's why I don't like conventional medicine a lot of the time. And conventional doctor stuff, because a lot of the time, to me, they make you do things that are totally unnecessary and just anxiety inducing and stressful, and it just makes you more poorly. And I'm usually allergic to any medication, so even if I did have one of these conditions, which I hope to God I don't, then you know what I mean, if they give me meds, I won't probably be able to take them anyway, because I'll probably be allergic to them, just like I was allergic to the anesthetic and dressing. trying to have it, which I can't take clearly. So, but they can cure cancer. Well, apparently, according to the internet, they can't cure blood cancer, which is from bone marrow. There is no cure for it, according to what it says on the internet. So, I mean, I never say never to anything, but that's actually because it's specifically they're testing they're testing my blood for myeloma, which is a form of blood cancer from specific bone marrow. That's what they're testing me for. So, I hope to God I don't have that. I hope to God I don't have osteoporosis, which my physio said you're too young to have that. In birth certificate age, I'm too young. I'm below the age that. Oh, Chatterbox, you're a cancer survivor. Oh my gosh, congratulations! That's amazing. I know I've got a friend, well, more than one on Facebook, but I know her in person, and she's survived breast cancer. She's been free of breast cancer for well over 5 years now. 30 years plus. Oh, well done. That's amazing. That's really good. Also, there's someone in one of my Facebook groups, and she said that she's been 26 years now that she got diagnosed with cancer years ago, and 26 years later she's still here. So, but I don't know, with the fact that it's a specific type of cancer I'm being tested for, the cancer of the blood, there's meant to be no cure for it. They can give you drugs to slow it down, basically, but I'm usually allergic to meds from the doctors. I'm usually allergic to nearly all things. Yeah, Chatterbox, it's really bad. This is why it's freaking me out. It's like, I've seen some of the stuff they do. If you do have it, you usually have to have a needle shoved in your blimmin' hip and stuff taken out of you. I'm like, I don't want that. It's awful. I've got to go for a bone DEXA scan for osteoporosis as well, which I'm fine about. That's like a 30-minute scan. But I don't know if like the doctor said, they've referred me, but because I haven't actually got many of the symptoms of osteoporosis, I might actually be declined from it, even though the spinal team recommended it. But the blood test should have indicators of where I've got that or not. But yeah, it's really bad. It's a bad form. It's a bad form of. I mean, all cancer's bad. None of it's good, is it? It's all horrible. But according to the internet, there is no cure for the specific type of cancer that they're talking about me possibly having. So, it's all bad. None of it's good. But it's a shock to my system because the physio didn't even tell me. I found out myself on my medical records. And it's just a shock because I never even ever considered I would have anything like that. Remotely considered that. I actually think I'm very strong in my bones. My muscles are weak, though. That's how I found out I got fibromyalgia, because years ago I saw a physiotherapist, and Pilates and yoga exercises hurt me. He said, you shouldn't have that. Those simple exercises shouldn't be hurting you. And he tested my muscles. He said, your outer muscles are really strong, but your inner muscles are weak. And, and he thinks I got some other problem. And then it took 2 years to get an actual diagnosis of fibromyalgia. So yeah, but I live with fibromyalgia. I don't take meds for it. There's technically no cure for fibromyalgia, although I know a few people who said they're cured from it. I don't actually know if they're cured from it or if they just take products that stop the symptoms from showing up, if you know what I mean. But they say they've cured themselves, which is fine. If they have, we're good for them. But there's not meant to be a cure for that. But I manage it really, really well. All things considered, I got a lot of energy usually. I still got quite a bit of energy now, like when I'm talking. But it's harder. I know that I'm more poorly at the moment. I can feel it. I can feel it in my physiology. It's like this intense tightness. It's like a draining energy. It's like, oh my gosh. Sometimes it's like the world's collapsing, but I know it's not. Other times I am trying to be as positive as possible, but it's quite hard. It's really tough. And it's a shock to my system that they've even suggested it. So I'm still in some shock, if you know what I mean. It's like I'm still in some shock. And so it's hard to come to terms with them even suggesting that. So that's what I'm finding difficult. So now I'm kind of like totally understandable. Thank you. So now it's like, just live for now. Anyway, Sandra, just know what you've got to do, what you would like to do and get, you know, finished. For example, my asexual books that I need to finish, but I feel like my life's been put a bit on hold because it's like I've got to go out more now, so I can't do as much work because I have to go out because otherwise my mental health at home by myself is not good. My mood gets really low and I fester on the bad things that could possibly happen. Whereas if I keep my mind active and see my best friend and go out lots and enjoy my life, my life's like a lot more worth living. It's always worth living anyway, but it's a lot more positive. It's like, okay, you're enjoying your life now. So even the very worst case scenario, you'd still be able to enjoy some of the life that you still have while you're still here to have it, if you know what I mean. But if I'm indoors, I'm just playing it. I'm playing the scenarios, the two possible scenarios I bought. It goes around in my head all the time. And it's not good because law of attraction, which am somewhat into law of attraction. I don't believe everything exactly as they say it is, but what we focus on expands. I know that. And so if I'm focusing on that, it's not good. So I have to not focus on it and look away from it and focus on other stuff. So by keeping my mind active on other things, by going out a lot, by enjoying it, it's much better. Agreed. Social interaction is so important. Well, for some, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm an extrovert anyway, but for me, it's just like it's really good. Going to the cinema is really good because it allows me, if it's a good movie, if it's a fast action-paced movie and got a good storyline, it allows me some reprieve. Although it doesn't, sometimes my mind is still going. But like the other day when I was watching a movie, um, it actually allowed, for some reprieve. Like I wasn't the Twisters movie, for example. So there's bits of that where I was actually drawn into the storyline and I was forgetting what else was going on, which was really good. But other times I'm like, I'm like, I was thinking about stuff, but most of the time, because my best friend's been spending a lot more time, which I know isn't easy for him because he's got other people he needs to see. He's got another friend at the moment that isn't very well either, and they're having some of the same type of things. Like they're having like the same, similar, or same type of things like go on, like similar. Not well. One of the things is like, you know, one of the things is kind of like the same thing, but the rest of it's a bit different. But it's kind of hard because they've got another friend going through that, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of hard. I don't want to say too much because it's their other friend and I don't want to break confidentiality. So but yeah, it's hard, and it like straight, like when under my eyes started twitching recently, like here, it just feels really bad. And I got that after I had the anesthetic the same night. So I'm not sure actually. I'm like, was that actually allergic reaction? Because I was obviously clearly allergic to the anesthetic that I tried out, and the dressing I tried it out, which is it's not suitable because I'm allergic to it. So I can't have it. And it actually caused my arm pain. It didn't take pain away. It didn't numb the pain, arm at all. It just caused it really bad pain. So I can't have that. So I'm just gonna have to have the blood taken out of me as I normally would, but hardly. But the last time I had a blood test was 2019. We're now in 2024. So I've refused blood tests for 5 years, basically. That's how phobic I am of them, and I will not have it unless I absolutely categorically think it's necessary. In this case, unfortunately, it is because I have to know what I'm dealing with, and if I have got either of those things, which I sincerely hope I haven't. But I think it's better to know in this case. Well, is it better to know? Sometimes it's like, is it better to know, or is it just better to go along with your life not knowing? And then if you're not focusing on or not thinking about it, then maybe you'll be better anyway. But I think it's a good idea too, and they're not going to stop saying that they don't believe it's the exercise until I go and have it done. And I it's like being accused of lying. It's like, I know the exercise did it. Even if I don't think I've got an underlying condition, but if I did, then it's still the exercise that caused it because I was perfectly fine before I did that. But yeah, I just hope and pray that I'm going to be okay. It's just one of the worst times in my life, and I wasn't opening up on this channel about it at first, but I am now because I feel it's better. As soon as I started opening up about it, actually, Lee was one of the first people on here to be in chat and hear about it. I felt much better because I was at Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club last month, and I was in London for a few days, the middle of last month, and I found out just the day before I went away, and I didn't really want to say anything because I hope it's not true. And I thought, I was better to keep it myself because I don't want to worry people. And I became so worried about it myself. And I'm not usually a bottling up person because on this channel, I always share my life journey, my asexual life journey, in order to help others. And I'm thinking, Sandra, you've got to let it out. You've got to tell people about this. You've got to tell them on your channel because you've always been honest on your channel. And it's not being dishonest, not saying anything, but they have a right to know what you're going through. Plus, you can tell them what you're doing to help yourself, like going out to the cinema, like asking for more support from your best friend, like realizing you've got to go out more, paying to go out more. Yes, it's more money, but it's worth it because it's keeping your own stress and anxiety levels to a minimum. Thinking, and telling people what you're going through because it might help someone. Chatterbox, I understand I have a hard time with needles and blood, even after going through chemo. Oh my gosh. You were so brave doing that. It's just like, it's making me more poorly, all this stuff. But I think it's important to share it. Like when I start saying stuff on my channel, I just felt better because with me particularly, I know myself personally well, and if I keep things to myself, they compound and get bigger, and they become worse. It's like usually if I'm attracted to a guy, I have to tell him. I know that's really weird how most people would do it. I just have to tell him. And if he doesn't feel the same way, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But I have to tell him usually because otherwise my feelings for him get more intense. But if I tell him and he's like, well, I'm either not at the stage, I'm not interested, I don't feel the same way, or I don't really know you, it's kind of like, well, nothing's going to happen, so it's okay. But I've put it out there that I have feelings and it's not reciprocated. That's okay. I can move on now with my life. But if I don't tell the guy, and I don't want to be one of those people that has a feelings for someone for months or years on end and never says anything, it's like wasting your life. If that person's already involved with someone else, they're not interested in you, they're attracted to a different gender entirely than you anyway, it's just wasting your time. It's absolutely wasting your time. Thinking about them. It's just a waste of time. Chatterbox agreed. So with the what I'm going through, when I started telling people on this channel, it's like releasing it. It's like instead of making it more intense and the feelings for it more intense and giving it more time and energy that it needs to be, by releasing it and telling people, it's hard because with social media, people can Lee, I'm the opposite. I kept it a secret. Kept what a secret? Oh, about feelings. Are you talking about or are you talking about illness? But yeah, I learned over the years on my asexual journey on this channel actually that I have to tell the person. It's just better for me to tell them. And with the things I'm going through, it's better I let it out, because when you let it out, it dissipates. It doesn't make it so intense and you don't think about it. Because like I said, with the law of attraction, Lee, telling people we're attracted to them. With law of attraction, what we think about expands, what we focus on, we get. You don't want to get the things you don't want to get. So by releasing them into the universe, you could argue, well, you're releasing stuff in the universe that isn't necessarily good. But if it helps to have more positive emotions, if it helps me to focus less on it overall, if it helps me to focus on other things because I've put it out in the world, because I'm not thinking, oh, I'm holding it into myself. If it's out, I'm kind of going through that and pushing it away and getting rid of it. But the danger with social media is I say that I'm being tested for these things, and then someone can go and say I've got these things and tell people. It's like I haven't actually been diagnosed with either of these things, and I pray to God I haven't got either. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have either. I don't believe I have either. But from my past childhood trauma and through difficulties in my life, I do find it hard. I'm usually right, but I find it hard to totally trust my own judgment. And I've been right all along with these injuries, that it wasn't just a strain. It's a back fracture, but 2. I'm misdiagnosed by 3 professional NHS people. So I'm actually true. I actually know myself and my body really well, and I'm usually right. But I have a hard time sometimes accepting that I'm right, and standing proud and strong that I'm definitely right. And that's it, categorically, because I've been brought up to believe there's always 2 sides to every story. There's always another possibility. And whilst that may be good for some people, sometimes it lets in too much room for maneuver, too much possibility, so that you chatterbox, that's a good thing. Knowing your body. Oh, thank you. So it's kind of like it's hard, you know. I don't talk about this loads, but it is hard because I do trust my own judgment a lot more. You know, I advocate for myself more. I stick up for myself far more now than I ever used to. But it's just like, even when the physio told me, I said, so I was right about the break. I was crying. I was in shock because, all right, I'm right, but the actual reality of me being right. But then it's not just one fracture, it's 2. It's doubly shocking. But the fact that I'm right and the NHS people are all wrong, that including the physio first misdiagnosed me, it's just a shock to my system that I am actually right. But usually I'm right, but I guess I'm usually very confident, but I guess I lack probably a little bit of confidence in having total belief in myself because, you know, like I said, I've always been brought up, there's 2 sides to every story and there's other possibilities, but I'm not saying that's not true, but if you think like that all the time, it never validates the fact that you are right. You know, and in relationships, I can end up in a relationship with someone who's not good for me, and I can know or think I know this person is not good for me. These are red flags. This person has bad character traits. But I will think, well, you might have got it wrong, Sandra. You never know. There's 2 sides to every story. There's always another option. Maybe it's not true. And even if a guy lies to me, my brain doesn't want to believe he's a liar. So it will just think, oh, well, you know, like, it'll try and do something to make me think that he's not as bad as he is, because I don't want to think the worst of people, even though they are bad. Some people, you know, they're bad in the way I'm not saying they're bad to everyone, but if they're bad to me, but it's like my last, sorry, short-term ex this year, like, I didn't want to believe he was narcissistic. There was red flags in the beginning that he convinced me that, oh, you know, everything's okay, even though he was lying at things in the beginning. But when I recently saw a video on narcissism, because I've been with narcissists before, I've even done videos on this channel about narcissists. When I split up with him, I blamed myself, like narcissists get you to do. And subconsciously. Um, and then when I watched a video recently by the guy who mentors me and coaches me, Matthew Hussey, he's the world's #1 dating and confidence coach on YouTube in the world, and I'm actually in his Love Life Club for 12 months. So I've actually had live coaching by him, you know, like, but he did a video actually on his channel, which is public to everyone, and all the traits my ex this year had. But it took me ages to come to the terms with the fact he is narcissistic, because he's been on this channel a couple of times, and he looked so sweet and innocent. He actually looked like he really loved me as well, with the look he gave me, which was, like, weird. So, you know what I mean? But clearly by the end of it, he definitely didn't love me, and he was not a nice person to me at all. And was blaming my anxiety for his shortcomings, you know, gaslighting me, but I was like, I wasn't 100% sure if he was gaslighting me. I thought he was, but you know what these people do, they make your mind go crazy. And so, you know what I mean? It's hard. And so I just find, like, I just find that I find it sometimes really, I'm being really honest here, that I do trust myself on some things, like 100% go with myself, you know, and I don't let anyone. Well, I changed to be like this in 2021. Something happened in my life, something really difficult, and I mean, it was an ex job actually, and I finally realized then that I had a problem with not trusting my own judgment as an adult, but in a really to a very extreme way, and not being able to make my own decisions as an adult, and that was really bad. So what I did is I literally made myself start making decisions on purpose and advocating for myself and sticking up for myself, even to people I'm really technically close to in some ways. And that did change my life for the better, because I like stuck up for myself, advocated for myself, being my own best friend in that way. And I just felt empowered in the end, but it was hard because, you know what I mean? People try and make you doubt yourself, but I was very adamant in the end, and I did stick to my guns, which is good because I actually live on my own and I have to support myself, and I had to go through a lot of trauma with that stuff. So, it's good. But the fact, like, I've been right this year when when the NHS staff, 3 different ones, are all wrong, just goes to show I know my own body more than they do. And I usually have natural stuff. I usually go for natural remedies. At the moment, my downstairs in my kitchen is looking like a natural health product pharmacy because I've got digestive problems. So I had problems that I went to the doctor about in February, way before my accident happened at April the 28th. And that's when I did my back injury. So in February, I had this weird thing happen where I broke out in spots, lumps, rashes all over my body, and the doctors didn't know what it was. And one of the doctors suggested that it might be chicken pox. But then they said that at the moment it doesn't look like it's full chicken pox, and it probably is something else like folliculitis. And then I saw 2 other doctors. One of them said it's definitely folliculitis. The other person said, I don't think it is folliculitis. What do you think it is? I said, I actually think it is chicken pox, even though I've had it before as a kid. Because you can have it again if you've got a weakened immune system. Fibro makes you have a weakened immune system, because most people think you can't get it as an adult. But I did say, I did look at loads of stuff online, and that was the nearest thing to it. But if you have it as an adult, it's not the same as a child. It doesn't have the full like bit at the end on it. You know what I mean? You can have the spots without having the other bit, basically. Chatterbox, it's definitely important to advocate for oneself in a medical situation. Thank you. Yeah, I do it a lot, really, because I have to. My parents are the opposite to me. If a doctor tells them what to do, they'll just go and do what they say. But I'm a bit more feisty and knowing my own body more. So usually I end up like, I'll take the stuff they give me for a little while, and then usually I start getting rashes all over with it, and I have to stop it. So in February, the 3rd doctor I saw, like I said to me, "Oh, what do you think it is?" And I said what I thought it was, and then basically I got given different creams and stuff, and in the end, I was at home and they were just making me itch more and more, and I thought, I'm getting really allergic to these. These are doing no good. So I stopped using them and had to find alternatives for myself, which my alternatives aren't actually natural products. They're Nivea, but they're sensitive skin stuff. And so Nivea isn't a natural product, I know, but it's the only thing at the moment that's, because I've tried quite a lot of natural stuff, like natural soaps and stuff, and even them itch me. Like olive oil soap, can't have that. What else? Rose hip soap, I think it was. That didn't work. Natural tar soap, worked a little bit, but made me itch as well. And then there was just a number of things I tried, and I'm like, but I actually find at the moment Nivea, because I use Nivea on my face actually for years, and I'm okay with Nivea, but it's the only brand I'm okay with that's traditional, kind of like pharmaceutical, over the counter stuff. You can't get this on prescription from the doctor, it's still over the counter stuff, or chemist stuff, But I find it's okay for my skin, like the sensitive skin one. And actually I use men's shaving foam sensitive because I find that's okay at the moment. And if something works, I don't want to, you keep what works, if you know what I mean. But even then I can still get some rashes to it. But anyway, to cut long story short, I ended up doing these because it got to the stage where I didn't even want to be in the shower anymore. And so every time I put anything on my skin, I was just making me worse and worse and worse. And they gave me hydrocortisone creams, which are obviously steroids. They gave me like Dermal, which is a thing to put in the shower. And I was just like, I'm just itching more of this stuff. It's just no good. So I stopped taking it, all of it. And then I sought help from a homeopath. Now, I've had a homeopath in the past, but my homeopath's retired. She is amazing. And her husband, when he was alive, was a homeopath working with her. and they solved me a lot of problems that doctors couldn't solve. And I even didn't have surgery, excuse me, because my legs are hurt. I didn't have surgery on my ear because they gave me a product that solved the problem I was having. So I was going to have surgery in my ear. I had a problem with the eardrum, was an abnormal shape for a while due to something that happened. I don't know, like viral infection or whatever happened. And anyway, they gave me this thing and it worked. It took a month to work, but it stopped me having surgery. So I know it actually works, but I tried to find another one in my city, and I found one that had a good so-called good reputation, everything, part of the homeopathic council people, like official. She was on the official health board or something, or official. She had she was official homeopath, not just someone off the internet, and her practice is up the road from me. So I went to see her, but she actually made me worse. Like, she gave me this substance that completely caught my digestive system up. And so that's what I've been trying to solve ever since. This is since May that she gave me this product. So I started seeing her before I injured my back on the 28th of April because I wanted to solve the problem with these rashes, lumps, and spots that the doctors couldn't solve. And in the end, she gave me this substance, which is polycontra, and it stopped my digestive enzymes working because I had a digestive problem back at the end of 2013 and 2014. And I was on 8 tablets a day by the doctor, and I was literally getting rashes all over my neck because I became allergic to that because I'm allergic to nearly everything. And I thought, I can't do this. And I was really bad for my digestive system. I was getting like, this is disgusting. Excuse me if you're eating, regurgitation and burping and all gastric symptoms. Basically, I had gastroenteritis. I was off work for a couple of days, and then I went to a work meeting and got really poorly and couldn't even stand up after eating. I got taken to a hospital in Bristol, and then I was off work for a month, and then I had to have these 8 tablets a day, and I couldn't digest my food properly. I was getting chest pain as well every time I ate, and I went to see the doctor a few months later, and I said, I need something done about it. I can't keep going on like this. And he's like, there's nothing more that can be done. We can't do anything more for you. This is as good as it gets, like, for the rest of your life, basically. So I wasn't having that. So I did loads of research. I started taking digestive enzyme 1 in the month. That's when a nutritionist gave me a tincture. It didn't really work. And then finally I worked out I need 2 digestive enzymes in the morning before I eat anything for the rest of the day. And that's been working since 2014 for 12 years. But this year, because of something the homeopath gave me, it stopped that from working. And my digestive system's been completely screwed ever since. With anything I eat, just getting worse and worse. I can barely eat anything without having issues. So I've literally, in the last few days, I've been doing loads of research. I'm obsessed with my health at the moment, which is a good thing, really. Absolutely obsessed with it. So first of all, I was obsessed about finding out as much as I can about the 2 things they think I might have. And then the rest of the time, I've been obsessed with my digestive system because I need my gut to be right. Because once my gut's right, everything else will be right anyway. And I know my muscles have always been weak. So I did a hair follicle test. I don't know if it's up here, actually. I think it's downstairs. And yeah, it's downstairs. Although I might have replica, but it's downstairs, the main one. And so anyway, to cut a long story short, I've been examining that more, and I've now got all the things that it said that I had an issue with. I pretty much got products to cover that, but I've spent a lot of money. So I've now got I got 3 more products to take. So I already take kelp for a thyroid problem, digestive enzymes for a digestive problem, which basically the homeopath stopped the digestive enzymes properly working. I'm up my dose to 3 of those, but it's still not properly working. And I take vitamin D, which I actually was taking before the bone breaking, but started taking it this year actually because I thought I might need it. And then the physio's like, oh, you should take vitamin D. I'm already taking that. But yeah, I've got 3 other products for myself. No, 4 other products, because 1 came yesterday morning. So I got 4 other products, and I haven't had one yet because I'm trying to introduce them to my tummy. Like, not completely all at once, because I already take 3 products. This is like 4 more. Plus, I've got something for my mouth as well from the health shop. I got a tongue scraper and these things to help with, because the doctor back in February told me I've got thrush on my tongue as well. And they gave me some stuff that I had a reaction to. Surprise, nystatin, I think it's called. And I had it, and I had a bad reaction to it. And then I took it again without swallowing it, because you're supposed to swallow the stuff in this case. and it even had a bad reaction to that. All my throat swelled up at the back. And so I had to stop taking it. So I can even have that. They go, oh, well, there's nothing else we can give you if you don't want that. Like I don't want it. Like I can't actually have it. I'm allergic to it. They just don't. A lot of the time, they don't listen to allergies. Do you know what I mean? They're just like, they just think you're being awkward or something. It's like, no, I can't actually have it. You know what I mean? Because I went back to the pharmacy and I said, you know, I've tried it and I've got a reaction to it. And I've even tried it without swallowing it, you know, with just put it in my mouth and spit it out again. It's swallowed up. They're like, no, don't take it. Well, when I told the doctor, they go, oh, well, you just don't want it. I said, no, what? There was ingredients I'm not supposed to have it anyway because I'm allergic to it. And I told them I am. They've got like alcohol, ethanol in it. And I think it's got sugar in it as well. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't drunk alcohol since I was 19 years old in birth certificate. And it's got sugar added to it. And I can't have either of those. You know, but I had a reaction to it. And I'm like, you know, I can't take it. So I have to try and find a natural product. I've actually had Urine, which is not a natural product. It's from the chemist, but I've used it in the past. It's usually quite good. But even that didn't work. But I did see a program, well, something on YouTube. It was actually Jay Shetty's wife was talking about a tongue scraper. Apparently in India, they use them quite a lot. And I thought about getting one for quite a long time. I started trying to use a spoon instead. But then I went to the health shop and I've got a copper tongue scraper now. And I've got these bicarbonate of soda tablets, which you dissolve in water and use as a mouthwash. I think that's working better so far. But it's a long process because usually a tongue, if you've got tongue problems, I know this from when I used to see my homeopath years ago. If you've got like thrush on the tongue, it's actually a sign that your digestive system is not working properly. It's actually a digestive problem. So I know that it's a digestive problem anyway. One of the products I've got is I've been taking good bacteria as well. So actually, I've been taking 4 products because I've bought Simprove, which is it's kind of a very popular thing of good bacteria to put in your body, and I've been taking that for over 6 months, like nearly 7 months now, but it's not actually working. But they said, oh, you've got to sign up to 12 months, or we can't give you any more. You know, we can't do 3 months discount, you know, for just 3 months anymore. You have to go for 12 months. So I just signed up to 12 months, but it's really not working. So, but I've looked online. It says you can, once you have your first box sent to you for your, you know, 12-month subscription, then you can actually, God, my legs are really hurting tonight. Then you can actually cancel within the first 14 days of that. So I'm going to have to cancel it because one of the products I've got is off Amazon. It's by the company I usually use, Viridian, which is amazing. And it's capsule forms of good bacteria. Now, normally, I'm not good with capsule forms. They usually give me tummy pain, but Viridian products are very free. They're free from additives, free from cruelty to animals, free from animal testing. They're free from, like, you know, like yeast and all this stuff. And I actually saw this because I believe I've got leaky gut, by the way. I haven't actually told you that. I think that's the actual problem. But doctors don't believe in it usually, and there's no test on the NHS for it. But I've nearly got all the symptoms of that. And so that's what I believe I've got. And also, back in 2014, the doctor actually told me, you've damaged the lining of your stomach. And that's basically what leaky gut is. It means that your gut is more permeable and lets in toxins into the bloodstream and all like that. The only way you can solve it is by, you know, first of all, working out if you have got leaky gut, which you can either get a test for or basically looking at all the symptoms. And then you have to, like, heal the gut lining and seal it up, basically. And you do this by getting different products. But a lot of the products that I've been doing loads of research, a lot of the stuff I'm actually got allergies to natural stuff as well, by the way. I haven't told you, I've got a lot of allergies to natural stuff. Which should be good for the body as well. So, and sensitivities and intolerances. So it's really difficult for me to find something. So I've been doing loads and loads of research. But I came across a Viridian, which is it's a kid's good bacteria in powder, not even capsule, but it's usually used for kids. But one woman, she was on there, she was giving a review and she said this repaired her leaky gut. And she says she's tried L-glutamine, which is the major thing that people use for gut repair. She said, and she was on that, but that stopped working. Then she tried betaine hydrochloride, beta HC1, which is actually in my digestive enzymes I've been taking for years. And that only worked for a short period of time with her. I'm like, I'm already taking that, so clearly that's not working. And she said, but these bacteria, they're in a kid's remedy. Because what she said was, she said, oh, I saw this in my cupboard, so I presume she's got children. And she said, oh, I thought I'll just give it a go. So she said, I gave it a go. And she said it's cured her wheat allergy and her leaky gut, and she's absolutely amazed by it. And so she said what she did, like she had a dose every after breakfast, lunch, evening meal. She did that, and within 4 days she saw a huge difference. And then within a month she could eat loads of different things, even things she'd been allergic to. And then she said she'll get it for a good 3 or 4 other months as well, but she said it's been amazing. So I looked at her thing and I thought I'll just do what she says, but I actually think it's already starting to work a little bit, because I've noticed, and it was really weird, when I was in the toilet I could hear my tummy making noises, like the bacteria was actually doing stuff in my body. I've never been able to hear that before. It's really weird. But the Simproof I've been taking over 6 months and it still hasn't improved my gut. It's not really done anything, but I felt like taking it because I know if I don't take it, it's good bacteria, my immune system does go really down. But clearly they're not the full real bacteria, because when I did my hair follicle test, it came back that I had an acidophilus deficiency, which is good bacteria in the body. But yeah, that's one of the key ingredients in the Simproof I've been taking for months. I wrote to the Simproof team and they're like, oh, well, sometimes, you can just have like a imbalance for that day or something, but it just doesn't really do much. And I've only started taking this Viridi. It's called Viridi Kid, but it's a substance, so adults can use it as well. And it's good bacteria mixed with vitamin C, but it's not just good. It's got probiotics and prebiotics with vitamin C in it, as calcium sorbate, ascorbate. So it's actually got calcium in it as well. And it's got one other thing. And so calcium helps it to absorb, but the prebiotics help the probiotics, which with the Simproof thing doesn't have prebiotics, it only has probiotics. And I honestly think it doesn't work. So I've been taking it for months and not seeing any difference. In fact, my gut's just been getting worse. So I'm praying that this Viridian works. I have got 2 other backup plans from research I've done if this doesn't work. But it's hard because I have to find something that not going to cause me issues in other areas. Even 3 of the products I bought recently have got things that are a bit dodgy for my tummy. But the Simproof actually is the good bacteria is germinated in barley, and I have actually got food sensitivity barley, so that actually might be making things worse as well. So yeah, it's interesting, but I do so much research. I literally spend hours. I'm like obsessed with it, because this is how I get with my health. I'm like, I've got to solve this problem. I've got to solve this problem. And until I solve it, I won't really rest. I'm like, you've got to solve this problem, because every time I eat, I'm like going, you know what I mean? It's just not good. But I already, it's really weird. Like I said, I was in the toilet and it was like I could hear it it's almost like I could hear things in my tummy, and it felt like it was fizzing, because the probiotics and prebiotics are supposed to work so that your own bacteria start multiplying in your body and you get more healthy bacteria again, and it encourages the growth of your own bacteria in your body. And it just felt like I could hear and feel that happening inside me, a bit like fireworks. It's really weird sensation. Strange things that happen to you when you're stressed and anxiety induced, and in this case taking prebiotics for the gut, because I think my gut's probably been made worse by the stress anxiety. But I think I've got a feeling this is really going to work, because it seems to have calmed my tummy down a bit already. I just feel it's good. But there is something that I saw on Facebook an ad for, and I can take that. I've seen it and that looks really good as well. And there's another thing that's really expensive that I've got in reserve, but the one thing that was really expensive hasn't got the acidophilus in it anyway, so I don't think it'd work very well, because that's what I'm missing. But this particular prebiotic from Amazon, I've got the Very Kid one. It's got 2 acidophilus strains in it, not just one. So that might be the missing strain, because obviously if I'm already taking the Simproof, that's not working. It's got acidophilus in. It's got 2 different types of acidophilus in it. So I think it might have the strain in it as well that I'm missing or something. It requires a lot of research, especially when you've got health issues. I've been looking into all these different things, like with bones, like what can improve bones. But I don't think I have a problem with my bones. I know I have a problem with my muscles, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't actually have a problem with my bones. I just think it was the exercise I did, and all this is nonsense, really. Them even suggesting these things to me. But obviously it's still concerning. But if I'm thinking about myself, and if I'm trusting myself and believing what I think is true, then I think it's nonsense. I think they're just making me worried sick when I shouldn't be, especially as they weren't bothered in the beginning. They was classing all my thing as non-urgent. It's ridiculous. But anyway, but I know I have a muscle problem because I've always had a muscle problem with my fibromyalgia. I've got stuff to try and help with my muscles as well as my digestive system. But obviously I do have fibromyalgia, so I don't know if it will help with my muscles. But if I can get my bacteria working properly in my stomach and just be able to eat without worrying what I'm eating, and basically, like, I've kept eliminating different things, but you can't eliminate everything because you'll have no nutrition and then you will get ill and then you will get bad bones. Do you get my meaning? So I have to keep on eating, but it's like, you might notice that on my shorts video earlier, it was like salad stuff, like, cucumber and spinach and carrots and red pepper and tuna and jacket potatoes and stuff. And stuff like that. So, but I eliminated leeks because I thought leeks might be a problem because they can affect the gastrointestinal tract, but leeks can also be beneficial. So some of the things I've had to eliminate are actually they're actually cancer fighting ones as well. So they're actually very good for the body, but leeks can cause gastrointestinal issues if you look them up. And then I've just eliminated, I've not eliminated it, I've cut down onions to try to see if that helps. I've had a problem with rice, a major problem with rice, so I don't hardly ever eat rice now, but sometimes I get really hungry, so that's difficult. But yeah, but I don't know how much of like all these allergy stuff is like actually stress and anxiety making it worse, making it more apparent. So it's hard, when you've got stress and anxiety inducement and phobias and stuff. You don't know how much of because obviously the stress is one of the major causes of problems with the digestive tract. And I think that's partly what caused the problems in the first place. But then but also with the homeopath, she gave me polycontra that affected the digestive system. And when I looked it up, it's hormones. It's like 13 hormones. I'm like, I said to her, I wrote to her and said, I stopped seeing her. I said, if I'd have known you were giving me hormones, I would never have taken them. She goes, I'd never give you hormones. They're so watered down that they're so watered down that none of the original hormones really left, basically. And I'm thinking, well, why even bother giving it to me in the first place then? But I was fine until I took that, and it kind of stopped the digestive enzymes working, completely screwed my digestive system up. So you know what I mean? It's hard when you you think you're doing. I'm itching now actually a lot, so it might be because I'm talking about a lot of like stressful stuff. My legs are really itching. That's why I keep moving my legs. It's really bad. They're like itching loads. It's like legs itching. But yeah, so it's strange what your body does when you're like in a state of stress and anxiety inducement, but you've just got to keep positive. So what does it say in the thing? Lee River and the digestive system in turn can affect other aspects of your health. Yeah, exactly. Chatterbox, you write about that. Mental health issues have a huge effect on one's appetite. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, usually I love my food, actually. I love eating, which is some people who've got mental health problems, I guess, eat a lot, and other people don't want to eat at all. But with me, I always have like a healthy appetite, really. But I've had to cut down on things and eat less of certain things, like because I don't know what I've got a problem with. But I know rice seems to really affect me, but that didn't come up on my hair follicle test as a problem. But whenever I eat rice puffs or rice cakes, even though it's just rice, there's nothing else mixed with it. Well, obviously when I have rice puffs, I have soy milk, but it's just made of puffs of whole grain rice, brown rice. It shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, the mental health affects physical health, and the physical health affects the mental health. So it becomes just a vicious cycle, really. But I want what I want the outcome to be is that the test is negative, it's normal, I haven't got either of these things, and then I can get on to probably healing myself of my back injuries, because the stress and anxiety will go away if I know that I'm fine like that, you know what I mean? And then I can focus on my actual back breaks and get them better and release all this stress and anxiety and worry that I don't need in my life, because it's just really, it's like intense. And I need to breathe. My physio is saying, breathe when you're doing exercise, breathe. I'm like, she's like, you're holding your breath, because I've got anxiety condition. Anyway, I'm like, am I? She's like, yeah, you're holding your breath. You need to breathe. But she actually told me before all this suggestion of horrible things I might have wrong with me. She actually said to me, oh, I want you to relax as much as possible. I want you to do enjoyable things, do things that make you happy. Like if you want to go out more or whatever, do them. She said, because I want you to breathe and also relax. She actually wrote that on with my exercises, breathe and relax. And I said to her last time I saw her, I said, this is not going to help me to heal because obviously I'm really stressed about the blood test and anxiety induced now. So this is really not going to help me and it's not going to help me to heal. And she did actually acknowledge that that's true. So I'm really hoping that I have the test and it all comes back negative, because if it doesn't, it's going to be not good for me. It might mean more blood tests and I don't want that. So yeah, but I am trying to stay as positive as possible still by distracting my mind, talking to my best friend, booking things to do, go away. So I have to be alive to go away to do them. By thinking logically that it's pretty impossible I would have either of those things, because I'm actually really super strong in my bones. Like being able to stand on one leg easily, and even to the point where I can, like, I can exercise just on my toes. I can stand on my toes and just with my heels both off the ground. But even lately I've been able to just be on my toes with one foot. So I've got one foot off the ground and just the toes with the heel. I can only do that for like 5 seconds or whatever, but that takes some doing because you have to have really strong bones in your toes to be able to do that. And the fact I'm not a skinny girl means I've got more weight to actually do that. Not like a ballerina who does it and doesn't have that much weight. Do you know what I mean? It takes a lot of actual bone strength to be able to do stuff like that. So I honestly don't see how I could have the osteoporosis thing. Well, don't see how I could have the other thing either, really. But you know what I mean? Because it just seems to me like it would be impossible. Yep, you're limber. Thank you, Chatterbox. Yeah, I'm really flexible. But I used to do exercises a lot in the past. And I just kept my flexibility, and with my best friend, I was reading up, doing loads of research like you do, and actually you're supposed to have a lot of collagen in your legs if you can move them like that and be really flexible in what you do, which is a good thing. Collagen, incidentally, is one of the things that helps the gut to heal, but I don't eat pork, lamb, or beef, so I don't want to eat collagen of animals I haven't ate. Though I do eat fish, and I need a lot of fish for my fibro pain, but I don't eat pork, lamb, or beef, and I haven't ate that since I was 15 years in birth to age, and so I really don't think I could have that. But the thing I've got at the moment, I've got a fish supplement. I've got omega-3s, really high level with fish gelatin in it, not beef. And the gelatin and collagen are very similar. Gelatin's extracted from collagen. It's easier to digest, so that should help my gut. But it's made of fish. I have to have mackerel usually every day and tuna and stuff. But the hair follicle test came with stuff I'm deficient in, but I actually eat all the stuff that I'm deficient in, so I shouldn't be deficient in it. But if you've got a leaky gut, it means you're not absorbing things properly. So some of the food you're eating is just going in with toxins in your bloodstream, basically. But usually they don't find this out in a blood test, because they don't test for this at the doctor, and they don't test for specific things that you're being tested for. They will test for deficiency, but I wasn't deficient in any vitamins according to my hair follicle test. I had no problems with my hormones, no problems with my no problems with the main vitamin things, but it did come out potassium, chromium, that I said I needed, which is to do with muscles, it said, not lycopene, which is to do with eyes. The chromium is to do with eyes as well. Acidophilus. I also came up with I got low uric acid, which is very strange. But the stuff I eat, the foods I eat, should cover all this, because mackerel and tuna cover a lot of it. But also I have loads of spinach, which is really high in potassium. And I take sea kelp every day, which is really high in potassium as well. So I shouldn't actually have any of these, which means I've got an absorption problem. I haven't got a actual nutrition intake problem. I've got an absorption problem as far as I'm concerned. But I don't go and talk to a doctor about this. But, well, I have been to doctors to say I had a gastric problem this year in the walk-in centre, but because I got it through the homeopath giving me that stuff, I said they wouldn't really help me. They're like, oh, well, they gave you medicine that's not prescribed by the NHS, so we can't really help you. And then I mentioned it to, I was still having some problems with my doctor, because you can do a stool test for this type of thing. And I just said, shall I do one? He's like, no, he just refused it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just sort it out myself, basically. So they're not even looking into this. The doctors, as far as the doctors are concerned, they don't even think of it. They just think I had a gastric problem, like, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever ago. I went to them, and that's all as far as they're concerned. That's it, right? So we're not dealing with the digestive issues with the doctor. I'm sorting all this out myself. I'm telling you personally on this channel about what I'm doing and about the things I know that I want to sort out, because a lot of the time they just don't help you in certain things. And if I did go to them, they would give me probably omeprazole or mebridine hydrochloride, which is what I had in the past. But that doesn't actually solve the root cause of the problem. It's to literally, it stops you regurgitating, so it stops the esophagus. I mean, I'm not a medical practitioner. Don't quote me on this. Go and do your own research. I have to say this as a disclaimer, but basically, acid reflux is when your esophagus opens and it goes back up. So mebridine hydrochloride or omeprazole, which is the same thing, but actually omeprazole works better because I have actually had that. It suppresses it, pushes it. It stops your esophagus opening up and it represses it more. So it means that you don't get the regurgitation, but it doesn't solve the actual root cause of the problem. The problem of why you're getting regurgitation in the first place. So that's what I'm trying to cure. And it really seems like it's a bad bacteria in I've got too much bad bacteria in my gut and I need to get good bacteria in there. It seems like that's a root cause of my issues and the leaky gut as well, but particularly the bacteria. So I'm working hard to solve that problem. I should hopefully stop all the allergies, but I obviously, because of all the stuff that's going on with the doctor and the stress and anxiety from the worry, that is obviously, I think, causing me reactions in my body as well, where it's causing my digestive system to be worse, maybe causing me more itching at the moment. So I've noticed that when I get stressed, I start having rashes on my chest. So some of the rashes that I was getting back in February, I found out, I worked out was actually stress, because I went to the pharmacist to talk to them about stuff the doctor had recommended. And she said, I want you to know that when you're talking to me, you're getting stressed, because I had a lot of health issues then. And she said, and as you're getting stressed, you're actually getting this rash come across your neck, because I've seen it right in front of my own eyes. She said, so I think it's stress related. And then I worked out she's right, because when I de-stressed and I calmed myself down and wasn't in a stress state, the rashes would go. But as soon as I started feeling stressed again, the rashes would come back. So I think some of the rashing is because my immune system and my physiology is so susceptible, because you get to a point where you can get so stressed and anxiety induced that your body involuntarily reacts to that, and so it's like you don't have control over it anymore, which is quite scary. It doesn't mean to say you haven't got any control over it, but there may be times when really you haven't really got it, because it's an involuntary reaction. It's happening really quickly like that, because your body just gets so overloaded with stress and anxiety and cortisol levels that it just becomes toxic for your body and builds up in it till it can't take anymore. I think it affects the sympathetic nervous system, I think, but don't quote me on that. Go and check it out for yourself. So I think it becomes an involuntary inbuilt response that just happens, and it's unless you solve the root cause of the stress anxiety, but really get it reduced a lot, it's so this year I noticed I haven't really had this bad health with stress as much as I have this year, to the point where now it just automatically rashes on my body, it's involuntary. I don't have control. I'm like, oh shoot. So yeah, it's pretty dangerous, I guess. But I'm hoping and praying that these things, that they possibilities the doctor said, I'm hoping and praying that when I've had my blood test, it comes back negative, because I do not want to be going through all this ordeal again. It's not good for my health, going through all this blood and needles and possibilities of me having fatal or life changing rubbish. So I just don't want it. I don't need this stress, especially as they didn't really seem bothered in the first place. It'd be a bit different if they were like, oh my God, yes, we'll take you seriously. You think you've done more damage to your back than just a strain or sprain? Yes, we'll get you to an x-ray quickly. We'll get you seen to. None of that. It's like, oh, you got a strain or sprain in your back. should be better. Two couple of days, 2 months, yeah, you should be better, no problem, you know, like, no urgency, no taking me seriously, no actually listening to the fact that I don't usually get this much pain and I don't get dizzy in the shower. And my back doesn't feel like it's jarring. My back doesn't feel like it's got a knife in it usually. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have that type of pain usually. So, you know what I mean? It's if I feel like they've gone from like not really being that bothered about my injuries to now being the extreme opposite way. But it's more like it still doesn't feel like they're really addressing my issues of my back breaks. It almost seems like they're overriding that or going bypassing it. Bypassing would be the words. Bypassing it, and now they're obsessed with the other couple of things. It's got to be some underlying issue. I'm like, I feel like saying hello. Like, when are we actually going to deal with my back? Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm actually dealing with my back, which I've been dealing with ever since, and without a back brace. Trying to get a back to make sure it goes back as straight as possible without a back brace, single-handedly in the body sense. I've got my best friend who's helping me with housework and shopping a lot, which I'm so thankful and grateful to him for. But actually, in my physiology, my body and myself, it's up to me to keep my back being straight, because you can with broken spine, bones in your spine, they don't actually ever go back the same way. So my on the X-ray, they usually they're meant to be the bones are meant to be like an oblong shape. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Oblong shape like that. I don't even know if that's oblong, but they're actually more like compounded, like rounded, if you know what I mean. Squashed. I don't know how to say it, but they're actually squashed in the front anyway because they're wedge fractures. And so yeah, it's just like not good. You know, it's not good they didn't take me seriously on that. And now it's like they've gone from one extreme to the other. But it's like it's me who's had to try and get myself better with ice packs a lot as well, because I can't take many meds. So most of the time I don't take meds. So do you know what I mean? It's like you've gone from not, but I still think they're not really addressing the issue, which is my back breaks. I'm like, when are you actually going to address my back breaks? Oh, sorry, I'm probably going to get myself back before you ever do that. You know what I mean? It's me who asked for physio, and the paramedic agreed. It's me that asked to see the physio more, because she's like, oh, I don't usually do it here. I'm only here at the NHS once a week, and I usually do it at Whipton Hospital. I'm not meant to see you more than once here. But if I hadn't insisted her seeing me again, she would have never put me forward for an X-ray. And then I wouldn't even have to have the blood test, because they wouldn't even been suggested, because they still thought it was a strain or a sprain back then. So actually, by insisting I have X-rays and find out I've got 2 broken bones, now I have to have blood test results out. Whereas if I didn't insist on that, they would have been on the wise that they keep telling me it's a strain or a sprain, and that would have been it. But I wanted to know, because I thought it was something worse. And obviously, because the bones will never grow back identically the way they were, you know, they'll always be misshaped now. And spine is a very serious matter, and you can actually get a hump on your spine if it doesn't grow back right. And most people have a back brace to hold it straight, but I haven't. In some ways, I'm glad about that, because I have had such horrendous pain in my ribs and been feeling like pain whenever I breathe, which clearly to me is and the pain I've been in, so clearly ribs broken, but they won't have it. They're like, oh, but that pain's coming from your back, your ribs are attached to your back. I'm like, not this amount of pain. I don't believe it. I believe I broke my ribs as well. Because when I Google like pain when you breathe, is it broken ribs? It basically keeps saying yes, you know? And I just know the amount of pain I've been in. So anyway, you know, I just think it's solve your own problems as much as possible, isn't it? But they seem to just be bypassing the actual injuries and what happened to like, oh, right now you must have something dreadful. So it's like, it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You strain or sprain, you'll get over it type thing. To now it might be these really bad things that you've got wrong with you. It's like, but what about the actual back injuries that I'm trying to heal? The actual thing that's most prominent at the moment I've actually got, you know what I mean? It drives you mad. It does make you angry somewhat for like the mistreatment of being misdiagnosed, if you know what I mean. And then all of a sudden, not even being told the blood cancer thing, find it out in your own medical records. It's like, what the hell? It's just like diabolical, really. But I'm grateful to be in life still. I'm grateful that I haven't damaged my spinal cord, so I can still walk. That's a really good thing. I'm very grateful that at the moment I haven't got either of those 2 things, as far as I'm concerned, that I'm being blood tested for. I'm grateful that my best friend has been helping me a lot more and supporting me lately. I'm grateful that I am able to pay to go away and stuff, that I am able to pay to go to cinema, that I am able to pay to go out. Actually, I was a member of had a membership, and it just ended last month because I decided it wasn't really working. I wasn't really getting out of it what I was paying. It was a lot of money. So I stopped doing that. So I've used that money to put towards my health products. So I had a little bit more money than I would usually do because that would usually, I was usually paying that subscription. Chatterbox, sorry you're having to go through this. Hopefully things start working out in your favor. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I am still grateful for the good things in life. I'm still grateful that I'm alive at the moment. I'm still grateful that I'm here to talk to you. I'm still really grateful that I've documented all my life journey on this channel since 2015. So I'll always be here, hopefully. And I'm grateful that, that I am still alive. I'm grateful that I am able to have the money to book Bristol up in London and to be going on these trips. I'm grateful for my best friend. Gratitude is very important. I'm grateful that I have got a roof over my head, food in my belly, nice, safe, warm place to live. I say safe. There was like people shouting in the street yesterday, so that felt a bit unsafe. But that was a bit. It was a guy shouting and swearing at the top of his voice for ages, and then an alarm went off. I'm next to a road, so it does get a little bit scary, that. But I'm on the top floor, so I'm kind of out the way, but it's parallel. I've got a masonette, and the bottom bit's parallel to the bridge where they do most of the shouting. And I always get a bit worried, because my bottom window is parallel to the bridge, and it's just like, so that was a bit of a nightmare. But and that doesn't help with stress either. But okay, yeah, ribs over there, riots over there. It was one guy shouting for his girlfriend. I think his girlfriend wouldn't let him in or something, or she didn't want to know him anymore, which I'm not surprised. And basically, he's clearly an abusive, narcissistic type of guy where he just wouldn't take no for an answer. And so he was shouting at the top of his voice and swearing. And it's horrible. I hate guys like that. They're so malicious. So basically, he was just trying to grind her down. And he was doing it for probably over half an hour or more. And he was just shouting her name all up the street, and everyone's trying to sleep. And this guy's out the window going, if you don't stop shouting, I'm going to come and knock you out in a minute. But he didn't actually do that. It was just, but that's the only problem living next to a road. You get people like that. And it's like, it's okay if people are polite, but if people are swearing and shouting and being really aggressive, oh, that's awful. Yeah. It doesn't really make you feel safe. But I was going to be made homeless before I came here, so I was so glad to get this place. And I have got a masonette all to myself, so it is good in that way. But yeah, and I live I live in the city centre now, hence that type of noise. But I'm very grateful for that. So I'm grateful for you all being here anyway. I'm gonna say thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support and good wishes. They really do help. When I got a little message in my inbox yesterday morning from someone who doesn't usually message me hardly ever off Facebook, and they're very busy people. A person actually, they won a lot of awards. They they messaged me saying about they're sending me positive vibes or something. It's just like little messages, and our pleasure, says Lee. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Like any kind messages, the beautiful comments you've been leaving tonight, both Lee and Chatterbox and anyone else that's watching. It just makes me, it just helps me. I feel it helps me to heal, and it helps me know I've got support and stuff. Just little messages and your nice comments and stuff like this. It just really helps when you feel like you're being thought about and by people, and people do care. It does make all the difference. Like, you may think like little comments and messages don't make that much difference, but they make a hell of a lot of difference, especially in the world where everyone's schooling. Because when everyone's schooling, it's so easy these days to not even like bother sending messages, because most people have got the attention span of less than a goldfish these days, But when you reach out and say, I'm really sorry that you're going through this and stuff like that, and saying, I hope everything's going to be all clear for you and whatever, or just thinking about you, sending my best wishes, wishing good things for you, all this type of thing. I know there's quite a few have done that. I just feel so good, So I'm going to wrap up, but I have to tell you about my books as always, because these are exciting. This is my best-selling fibromyalgia book here in the middle. This is my asexual perspective. Fibromyalgia is the middle one. I'm trying to do it all at once. This is my fibromyalgia self-help handbook. So this is how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happy like a superhero rock star. And it's autobiographical, and this is my superhero costume. So yes, in case you didn't know, I'm Ace Fiber Girl, which is why I have superhuman strength in my bones, actually. Which is probably how I broke my back, because I've got superhuman strength, and they told me to do an exercise and go as far as I could do, and I broke my own back, I think. But there we go. I didn't break it. Well, I did, but I didn't, because they asked me to do the exercise, and I didn't do the exercise. It wouldn't be broken, but I think I went further, because the whole point of the exercise they asked me to do, which led to two broken bones, which is to go as far as we could go. But it was meant to be to, like your mind has limiting beliefs, and it was supposed to be an exercise in breaking through our limiting beliefs and being able to achieve things we didn't feel possible. So therefore, you've got to go as far around and twist the ways as you could possibly actually go, which is further than you usually go, which is what I did. Hence the bone breaks. So anyway, yeah, this is Ace Fiber Girl costume, and this book is autobiographical, and it's told in a superhero style. So you've got little different chapters which are really cool. And it's actually Ace Fiber Girl Awareness Month this month, August. So there's loads of things in here about fibromyalgia, but it's also a good book if you have got pain in your life, and it tells you how to reduce pain in 25 aspects of your life. It doesn't get rid of it. Well, it might get rid of it completely in some instances if you eliminate the thing altogether, but even reducing things is really good. So yeah, I like this book personally because I like superhero movies. If you like superhero movies, you like this, and I like autobiographical books myself, which this is my own autobiographical book. This can be got on Amazon, but it's also in other bookshops as well. You can order it from. And then I've got Asexual Perspectives, which is my best-selling asexual book. Before this one this year. So yeah, it's a bestseller. So this basically, I interviewed 47 asexuals for. Well, I interviewed 46 and myself is interviewed. You're interviewing me in the book, but it's me that's interviewed myself for you, if you get my meaning. And this book talks about love, life, and sex from an asexual point of view. And so basically, when I first came to asexuality, I used to get asked questions over and over again about things like, can asexuals masturbate? Can asexuals watch porn? Like, if I don't want to ever get married, like, is that okay? Or I don't ever want children, or I'm an asexual who does want kids or would have sex to have kids, but am I still asexual, or is this normal, and all this lot. So it basically shows you a lot of the asexual spectrum in real life context, rather than just giving you textbook definitions of it. So that's what's so good about this book, and a lot of people can relate. I've had people messaging me saying, I thought I was broken until I read this book, and then I realized that I'm okay and that there's nothing wrong with me. So it's actually, I know some people before this read this was suicidal as well, but obviously if you're suicidal, go and get professional help. But I'm just saying this book did help change their life, because they knew that they were okay after reading the different stories in it. Usually there's a story for everyone to relate to, and there's different people on the asexual spectrum, different parts of the spectrum as well. So, there's aromantics in here as well. There's a demisexual in here. There's an asexual who's with a bisexual. They don't have sex and all this sort. So it's a really good book. So I'd recommend getting that. That's on Amazon, Waterstones, Barnes & Noble website, Blackwell's, Walmart's, available from more good bookshops, basically. And this one is Diary Confessions of a Hyperromantic Asexual, 78 Life Lessons to Asexual Life. This is a bestseller this year. So this is like my own personal story. So this is like a behind the scenes of this channel. So if you follow my journey, I talk a lot on this channel about dating, relationships, self-love, self-care, confidence, all these type of things. And there's a lot of stuff that's put into this book, but it talks about a particular incident starting off in my life, and it has 78 life lessons I learned from these kind of romantic encounters, dating, relationship type stuff, and how these 78 life lessons can apply to your own life. It's really, really good. This was a bestseller when it first came out in April this year. It was actually #1 hot new release on both Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, and bestseller in multiple categories on that. It was #1 hot new release Did I just say that? I mean, I was so excited because it beat traditional sexual books. This book did. You know, like in Human Sexuality, it was a bestseller. So it's also #1 hot new release in both places, like beating sexual books. I was just so happy about that. Do you know what I mean? And it's really good. It's autobiographical, of course. But this actually is my diary, like in my head. It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary all in my head. But actually, if you read it, honestly, it's my real diary. Like I wrote straight from my head into it. It's got different dates in it about poignant things. So I didn't write in it every single day, but I wrote a lot of stuff. And at the moment, well, especially when my test is over, I'll be finishing off my workbook. So there's 78 life lessons to ace your life. That's in here. I've got a workbook that I'm doing where it's going to be your own diary confessions. So the 78 life lessons ace your life. I'll be talking more in depth about these life lessons. And Chatterbox says I'm here for the asexual content. Both of these have got asexual content in it. But yeah, this is a behind the scenes of this channel. Which talks about asexuality in the book, because I'm asexual, being a hyper-romantic asexual, and the life lessons I learn between me and heterosexuals, for example, who aren't asexual. So it's my asexual hyper-romantic story, real life story. So if you read up about it, so basically, if you read up about it, you see Sandra shows you the way, giving a whole new meaning to love, affection, and human connection. And this is my asexual life. So the behind the scenes of this channel. I've talked about this on here. So when I'm on this channel, I cover dating relationships from an asexual point of view, confidence. So there's one of my most popular live streams is how to be a confident asexual, for example, self-love and self-care, and all this is in here as well. And I've talked about relationships in all dating scenarios or encounters I've had with heterosexual guys. And then this goes more in depth as to what actually happened with those situations from an asexual point of view, because I experience asexual attraction, romantic attraction. I have asexual needs, and this is how to get your asexual needs met with sexual people. Basically, that's one of the things. But yeah, it's join Sandra for some incredible real life asexual adventures with many twists and turns of fate, where asexual attraction becomes climactic kissing passion, sensuality turns into personal power, and self-love takes on a whole new meaning as she embarks on a journey of self-discovery, uncovering some deep truths in the form of life lessons that will ace your life and set you free to be your authentic self in all of your naked soul glory, right? So this is all about my behind the scenes of this channel. Love it. Oh, thanks, Chatterbox. Yeah, this can be got on Amazon. I've actually put it on wider distribution now, so you can order it from bookstores as well. Lee, it's most certainly on my reading list. Oh yeah, definitely get a copy of it. It's really important. Actually, I just when did I reduced it a little bit recently, but I can't reduce it anymore because it's hardly the printed edition. I don't my printer's going off now. I don't know if you can hear it. My printer's started printing downstairs. It's very weird. I didn't even touch it. But yeah, it's a little bit reduced now. So when I first brought it out, it was on like a special offer price, and then I put it up to like what the full price should be, but it's gone down to like a special offer price again at the moment in the printed edition, and even the ebook I reduced very recently. So I'll probably have to put it back up to more because like for the amount of work I put into this book, it's like I don't make much on it as printed edition, especially, you know, because the price of books and paper's gone up these days as well, and because of the pages number as well. So I would recommend getting it sooner rather than later, but of course it's up to you. But I would personally recommend that. This one always stays the same price. I can't put this down, especially because look how thick it is. And the printed's always been the same price for years, because it's just like it's so thick that, you know what I mean, it costs a lot of money to print a book like this. It's got 46 asexuals plus myself in it, so it's huge. Chatbox, yeah, it took me a year to write this. and interview all the people in it. It is huge. But it's good because it's got 47 different asexuals. So I wanted people to see the diversity across the asexual spectrum. And I wanted people to get all their questions answered. So in every story, they're basically interviewed and tell their own personal story. So all these are the questions I got constantly asked in my inbox about asexuality. So rather than just me answer it, I wanted different asexuals on different parts of the asexual spectrum to answer the questions. You know, like, what's the positives about asexual? You know, what asexuality is one of the questions. Like, are you out about being asexual? If not, why not? If you are out, whom to, and how did they react? Like, what's your deepest fear, concern, or worry about being asexual? Like, what's your view on love? What's the difference between sexual attraction and sexual desire? These type of things, all this type of thing, I kept getting asked. So I'm like, okay, I'll put them all into a book, because I just kept repeating the same things over again. And there's only so much so much you can do in so many hours in a day. I thought, you know, I need a book with this in, not just my opinion and perspective, but loads of different perspectives, so people can understand the asexual spectrum, not from textbook definitions. Like, anyone can go on the internet and get textbook definitions, although it doesn't mean to say they're true, because there's still some myths and stereotypes that's wrong. And if you go by AI, some of AI stuff is wrong. Not all of it's wrong, but some of it is wrong. So it's much better to learn from people who've been talking about asexuality for a number of years. Like, there's not just me, but I've been talking about it since 2015. Rather than some people who just come into the asexual community and they haven't done their full research, and there's maybe put in some myths and stereotypes out in there. So there's one book on Amazon that I think is an AI book. It's asexual, but it's got really bad reviews. And to me, the actual description looks like an AI bot's written it. Doesn't even look human. It's rare I've seen that, but it's one book on there, and I'm thinking, I think that an AI, I think they've just got an AI and stuck it up there. Which is bad, because you don't want people getting the wrong impression of asexuality. So on this channel, I do a mixture of education. Usually my live streams are either educational. I do some no sex movie reviews as well, which are always very popular. And I like doing them as well because they're entertaining, and it's good to find no sex movies, because I personally don't like sex. I'm a sex repulsed asexual for me, but not for other people who like it, want it, need it, it's consensual, enjoy it, and all the rest of it. Hearing other asexual stories are very validating. Yes, was very validating. Yeah, yeah. I've found that a number of people have found this book very validating. But this book has got reviews, a couple of reviews, and one of the reviews says made me feel seen. For the Diary Confessions book, Aston is a review. You can go and see it on Amazon under here. If you look in my description, it will say I have links to both of these books and this book even. This book has got a tiny bit about asexuality in there, because I introduce asexuality in this book. And I'm known as Ace Fiber Girl because obviously Ace is asexual. So I do talk a little bit about asexuality in that book, but it's only in one chapter. But yeah, I strongly encourage you to get these books. They're really cool. And this one is different to what I would usually do. But it's a very interesting read, this diary. Reading into someone else's mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm going to check it out for sure. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think you'll really like this one. There's lots of different people's, but for people who love learning about my personal story on this channel, the other one's good as well. So they're both best-selling books anyway. But yeah, I really like writing books and helping asexuals is my biggest life passions. So it's really good. This one I published in 2017, but it was a bestseller last year, actually, in 2023. And this one was new this year in April, which became a bestseller, international bestseller. So, and hot new release as well. So yeah, I'm really proud of these books, and I've got more books coming. So I want to be alive to finish all them off. I'm like, God's not taking me yet. I'm not done. Thank you. I've got a lot more things to do to help asexuals here, please. Lots more books to write. So my time cannot be up. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, definitely check these out. All you have to do is type Asexual Perspectives into Amazon, or Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual. Read these books. And if you're interested in this, Fibromyalgia Self-Handbook. This is like a personal development book in disguise. So even though it says fibromyalgia, anyone can read it and get benefit from it. It tells you how to reduce pain in 25 aspects of your life. It's really interesting. But I could have just made it a personal development book, really, which is what it is. But it's for people who have got fibro. But people who haven't can benefit from it as well. So yeah. Anyway, it's nice to talk to you about my books, because I like, some people are like, why have you written your books? I'm like, well, this one is to help people with like dating and relationship scenarios if they're asexual, and also there's in this book I dissect messages from a heterosexual person to me, text messages. It's really insightful, and it helps to sharpen your bullshit detector where heterosexual guys are concerned to do with like dating and romantic relationships. Like they'll be telling you one thing, but they're not meaning that, for example. And I don't usually do that. It's really good because in this part of this book, there's like towards the back, there's like all these messages. They're actually done in messages, and so you can see them, and you can see I analyze all his messages to me. It's very insightful. I also talk about Blue Talks when I went to speak at Oxford University last year, and my anxiety there and what it was really like behind the scenes. Which I did part of my story was about asexuality. My Oxford University talk is actually on this channel now, which you can watch for free. So it was on Blue Talks because I did it for Blue Talks, but I incorporated my asexual journey into it. But it's actually on this channel. It's basically how to be, your authentic self. It's about how to become your best self, basically. So yeah, it's good. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I hope you check out my books and go and grab some. Thank you, Chatterbox, for being here. Thank you, Leah. Really appreciate you. Chatterbox, I can see how this world benefits. I can see how this world benefit asexual dating. Yeah. This really this book here. Yeah. Before I go, this really benefits any asexual who's into dating, relationships, but also understanding how to spot like red flags in guys, and how to understand what heterosexual says to you but actually means they're two different things. It's very good. Dating, relationships, any encounters with heterosexuals. I say heterosexuals because it's my life story and I'm only attracted to guys, and it happens to be there's four different heterosexual guys that I talk about in this book. Obviously I don't talk about their names and stuff, but it's very insightful from an asexual point of view of their attitude. So I've talked about one of the stories on Blue Talks Amplify Your Message. I was on recently, actually a couple of weeks ago, because they read some of the book, the person who hosted the show, and they said, you've got a chapter called Asexual Experience, WTF, what the basically. And she said, I thought asexual experience sounded fine, but when I saw the WTF, I'm like, why did she put that? She said, I'm really intrigued to read that chapter. And she said, so basically the guy that was on a dating site that I was talking to at the time, he started saying, which I've heard before said to me, that he'd like to have an asexual experience. So some of these guys who are interested in dating asexuals, they're not doing it because they want a serious committed relationship. They're doing it to get an asexual experience, like a red letter day. Do you know what red letter day is? It's when you like pay some money and you go and have an experience, like a balloon ride, for example, or learn how to fly a plane simulator and all this type of thing. Really, I can only imagine the difficult dating asexual women have. Yeah. So I'm an asexual female and I'm only attracted to guys, but yes, it is a nightmare. So it highlights a lot of that stuff, but there's a lot of life lessons in it that you can apply to different aspects of your life. For example, like one of them is like, if a guy says something about himself, then believe it, which you can apply to anything. You can apply to some of these things about friendships as well, because there's still a type of relationship to help keep you safe. Because, if someone says that they're a bad person, like usually, especially if you're an empath, your natural instinct is like saying, oh, I'm sure you're not a bad person, you know, like be kind to yourself and all this up. But actually, if some guy warns you, I'm a bad guy, rather than feeling sympathetic and empathetic, you should actually take him at his word and say, okay, you really are, because that's what happens in this book. One of the people in it, the guy says he's bad, and I was like, you know, thinking, no, he's just being really hard on himself. And then things take a turn. So yes, it's really like if it was like fiction, you know, it'd be like, you know, like it would be like you wouldn't even, if this book was fiction, it'd be like impossible to think this thing can happen. But as it's like non-fiction, my real life, it's truly unmissable because it's real stuff. But the way the book is done is real life. It's my real life, real words, real things that happen to me. But usually this type of thing you think only happens in like fantasy and fiction, but it's not. And so this is a really like insightful read, you know, like what's one of the chapters called? Oh yes, there's one particular thing. If I were to write a happy love story ending between me and him, this is what I would write. So there is a bit in the book where I also add, although it's non-fiction, I add an element of my imagination into it. Like, what if this did work out really well? What would happen? And one of the chapters is like, did I magic him up? Like, did I magic him? Can't remember what it's exactly called. Basically, oh yeah, that's my big moment talking about asexuality in the book. So that's really, really interesting. It's Diary Confessions book. And I go into my talk. I'm laughing at that because one of the chapters is called "You've probably realised I'm not a normal person." And this is really funny. He could have melted chocolate and still tasted better. I love these chapter titles. They're really funny. And intriguing. Oh yeah, making romantic movie magic come to life. So a lot of people fantasize about things that I actually do in my real life. But there's one chapter that says, I think it says, did I magic him up or something? So basically, I said something that came true. It was really weird. Love it, says Chatterbox. Lee River, it sounds like an amazing read right up my street. Yeah, it is really good, Lee. You should definitely get a copy. Chapter 6, enough bullshit and thinking you can trust everyone. So yeah, it is really good. There's a lot of life lessons. When I say life lessons, they do apply to all aspects of your life. You know, there's like 78. One of them, number 12, for example, it doesn't matter how much you love a person, you can't change them. And if you don't want to change them, and if they don't want to change themselves to become a better person, it's a lost cause. Because I think a lot of the time we try to want people to be better people, but actually, if they don't want to change, it's never going to happen, is it really? What's another one? Okay. When you love someone or have love feelings for them, it's not about how you feel about them, it's how they make you feel. So it's really important that, so it doesn't matter how you feel about them, how much you love them, if they don't make you feel good, happy, secure, and healthy, positive emotions the majority of the time, then they're not actually any good for you. But a lot of the time in relationships and even in friendships and everything, we're always like, especially if we're people pleasers or used to like being made to feel that we were less than we were, you know, we're less worthy than other people, then it means that we can, I'm just going to plug my laptop in a minute. It can make us feel like, you know, like the other person's more superior or something else, or we put them on a pedestal. But in actual fact, it doesn't matter how we feel about them. It's how they make us feel when we're with them. Even if we love them and think they're amazing and feel good things about the way we feel about them, like, oh, they're so charismatic, they're so good looking, or everything like that. If they make us feel bad about ourselves, or in their company we feel bad, we feel anxious, stressed, worried, belittled, put down, if they actually make us feel bad, it doesn't matter how we feel about them, whether it's love and affection, all the rest of it. If they make us feel bad, we shouldn't be with that person. Well, obviously you should talk to the person first. Like, you have to have healthy communication and speak up when something's wrong. But if that carries on, then you have to stop it. And this is true of a friendship as well. So these life lessons, that's why it's called life lessons rather than love lessons, because these lessons apply to multiple types of relationships in life, Like we might go, for example, we might go to a meetup group, a social group, and we might like going there for the fact that maybe we've got a hobby that we share with these people. But even if we have a hobby that we share with people, it doesn't mean to say that the people make us feel good while we're there to socialize with them. So even if we might feel like, oh, I like these people, or I like the hobby we share, they might not be making you feel comfortable in that group. They might not be making you feel welcome. They might not be talking to you. They might be leaving you out. Every time you go, you might feel like, I don't want to be here because I feel left out and lonely in a group. And that's no good for you. So even if you feel like, I want to socialize, I want to be in this group, but the group's actually not treating you how you want to be treated, then you have to leave the group if things don't improve. Because it's not about how you feel about them. It's how they make you feel when you're with them. And so this is a really important life lesson. So these life lessons you can apply to love relationships, social relationships, friendships. You can apply it to social media. You may love Instagram, but if your feed keeps coming up with all negative stuff because you haven't been disciplined enough really to get rid of the negative stuff and block things that you don't want to see, if it makes you feel bad, what's the point in being on Instagram? You're not supposed to do it. Most of my stuff makes me feel good when I'm on Instagram, but I've found out since quite a lot of people have negative stuff in their feed. But a lot of it's about discipline. A lot of it's about discipline, about the pages you like, the things you watch, what you do, and about blocking the things you don't. Even on YouTube, I block certain ads. I've never thought of it like that before. That's a good insight. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that's why these are life lessons. I don't say they're love lessons, but you can apply them to love, relationships, and life. So it's really important. This book is a really important book. I can't stress that enough. I do on this channel do lifestyle videos as well and entertainment. So I do a lot of vlogs. I do vlogs of where I go to the aquarium, for example, to the zoo, the food I eat and stuff, because people like seeing those shorts videos. On this channel, I'm really blessed actually, because I have people watching my long form content, which is these live streams. I have people watching just my short videos, like 10 minutes long. I did a lot of them in the beginning, so I didn't use to live stream in the beginning. When I start this channel, and then I have people watching my shorts videos as well. I have a lot of people watching different stuff. So I used to be just education, this channel, years ago, but then I do education, information, lifestyle, and entertainment videos because I find that suits all the different types of people that watch my channel. Because some people do specifically want to come on here for the no sex movie reviews. Because like one of the major things, if you're sex repulsed, not every asexual is sex repulsed, obviously, but if you're sex repulsed, you can feel like, I just don't want to watch another movie with sex in it. So I get the impression you're a boss. You get your impression that I'm a boss. I actually used to be a manager in retail, so I'm the boss of myself nowadays. But I used to be a manager of retail, so you could say I actually used to be a boss but I had to leave my last management job due to the fact that my hidden disabilities were made worse by the job. So I've got fibromyalgia and anxiety, and actually the job gave me CPTSD symptoms. It was that bad. So I left management behind, but I was in management for over 7 years, over 7 years. Retail management, predominantly furniture actually, but I have managed an outdoor camping shop before as well for a year. So yeah, so I did used to actually be a boss. I used to be a teacher for the NHS for a while for recovery of mental ill health, recovery learning community I worked for as a peer trainer. So I used to teach people how to use social media to improve their mental health, which obviously contradicts a lot of what people believe. So I used to teach people how to blog and use it effectively. And actually, I had really great results. So one of the people, she came to my course, and she came in the April, and she said that when she'd done my blogging course, I was like, she hadn't been feeling good since I think it was July the previous year. And she said until she did my course, she'd been feeling bad all that time. But by doing my course, she felt so much better. And she actually went back into nursing. She's connected me on Facebook, and as far as I know, she's still a nurse. So I gave her the confidence through the course for her to go back into nursing. She actually has some one-to-one tuition with me as well outside the NHS on Twitter at the time, which is now X. So yeah, but to be able to change someone's life like that, who'd felt basically depressed for months, and then to be able to change her whole life around, so she went back into working in nursing, I just think it's incredible. And I actually saw one of my other students who connected to me on Facebook after I finished, because what happened with the NHS is they cut costs. And because my course had a lot of handouts with it, they said, oh, it was too expensive to run. Because I used to give them handouts that I've compiled of how to do the blogging stuff, so they could take them home and keep the notes, And I had to produce handouts every session anyway for people to go along in the actual class. And this person took over the recovery learning community that I was working for. I had a new boss, and she cut my courses. And so, yeah, that was strange. But I never got an official letter saying that you're not employed anymore by them. I was on a 0-hour contract as a peer trainer. So I've never actually been given a letter to say you don't work for the company anymore. Yeah, it's not cool. So I'm like, oh, well. And I even got a letter through from them a while ago after they cut my courses that acted like I was still there. And I'm like, well, you've never actually said that I don't work there anymore. You just cut my courses, and then that was it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of really weird, because usually when you leave a company, you get an official leaving letter. But I'm like, you've never actually told me I'm not working for you anymore. But I did it voluntary for a while. I worked for them voluntary. And then I actually got to be a peer trainer, self-employed peer trainer. And then I worked for the NHS. They took me on board, and I was on a higher pay packet than quite a lot of them. I actually had a higher teaching qualification than the person who took me on in the first place. Hers was level 3. I got level 4 teacher trainer qualification. I've also got an information advice and guidance diploma level 4. So I'm a qualified advisor, actually qualified. So yeah, I've done a coaching course with the Coaching Academy as well. I've got a certificate in that. But I've got an advice and guidance diploma. Level 4 is just equivalent to undergraduate degree. I got a level 4 personal assistance course, higher diploma in administrative procedures personal assistance course. So I've got quite a lot of qualifications as well. So yeah. I used to work in retail sales. I also used to help redundant workers before I was helping asexuals. That was like what I did outside of work. Still got my Beat Redundancy Blues blog. So, and I published my first book in 2015 about redundancy. Ebook that was in. That took me 2.5 years to write that book. Yeah, a boss. Chatterbox. Yes. I'm a boss, if you like. I'm a boss of myself now, boss of life. Yeah, so nods. Yes. I'm a boss. Yeah. I like being a boss. I am a leader. I'm not really a follower at all. I am a leader. Obviously, I follow some things online, which are usually educational, but I'm really a leader, not a follower. Like, I don't follow the sheep. I don't follow the crowd. Like, I'm very authentic in myself. And I won't just do stuff to get money. I can't do that. I can't be like that. If I did, I'd probably be a lot more wealthier by now. But I can't be like that. I can't do something just for the money. My main motivator, I've actually done a test for this as well in one of my old jobs. My main motivator is a sense of responsibility is my first motivator for doing anything. Second motivation is a sense of achievement. Third is money. So that's like third on my list. So I have to have a sense of responsibility and achievement, which I feel I've got with this channel. I mean, this channel's had over 872,000 views now. You know, I'm on target for 900,000, and also hopefully I'll get to 1,000,000 by Christmas or earlier. Do you know what I mean? So it's huge, and I've done that all organically. I am planning to do YouTube ads in the future, which was going to be sooner, but because I've got health issues at the moment, that's had to take priority. I'd really like to get to 1,000,000 followers organically first and then do the ads, but I don't know what's going to happen because I think it's important, because I wanted to do an ad for this particular book, but I've got my workbook I want to finish first, and I wanted to do an ad with both of them in it because this is a really good story line, even though it's real. It's like it's very interesting, and I want to raise awareness of asexuality. And it'd be very interesting because I don't think an asexual ad's ever been done. So, you know, it raised doing it on this channel, it would raise awareness of the book as well as this channel and asexuality. So it would like be three things: the book, the channel, asexuality. So that's a big plan I have for this year. But because of my health now, I have to put that first. I haven't finished the workbook to go with this book yet. And there is a Diary Confessions book too that I haven't finished writing as well. So yeah, you know, I've got a lot going on, but my health has to come first. But I would like really to get 1,000,000 subscribers organically. It's not subscribers, sorry, views. I don't have 1,000,000 subscribers at all. It's not subscribers, it's views. I have 2,100, no, 2,200, I think now, subscribers, which is still really, really good. And there are people that have got more subscribers than me, many more subscribers, but I will not be someone else or copy someone else just to get subscribers. It's not who I am. On this channel, I specifically am raw, real, and authentic. The majority of my videos, not all of them, but majority of them are uncut, raw, and real. And I do that on purpose because I want to show asexuality in real life context. I want people to see what it's like being asexual on a daily basis. The trials, the tribulations, the ups, the downs, you know, some of which obviously can be applied to whatever sexual orientation you are. I mean, there's some people that watch this channel that are married to asexuals or in relationships with asexuals. They're not asexual themselves. There's some people that are allies on this channel who come in the community. There's a lot of obviously asexuals, so it's really important, you know. I try and hold a safe space for people here because a lot of the if I get trolls, the majority of them, or people just not being nice, the majority of them I block to keep it as safe as possible. I'll let a few people say things, but most negative stuff I just delete and block the person. Depends on how bad it is and what I think they're going to do. If they say one thing that's not great, depends what it is, I might let it go. But if they start going on, I'll just delete. I had some stupid comments the other day that don't even make any sense, some of them. One person is like, "Oh, mind your own business," to me on my own channel. I'm like thinking, hello, it's my channel. It is my business. It's just so rude. I'm like, I can't be going. And then one person's like going, tidy your room. It's like, well, one, you shouldn't be telling me what to do. And two, I wasn't even showing you much of my room. Like, what you know what I mean? That's a classic. It's just ridiculous. I just get some really stupid. I've had some nasty stuff as well, but most of that goes into spam automatically by YouTube. And they're like, I've hidden this content. Do you really want to see it? And sometimes I'll click to see it. Otherwise, it's deleted, I think, automatically within 60 days. But I get some really weird things. Like there's some things I leave on here. A few things. I think there's one thing that like looks like a grasshopper or something. I think I got one. I'm like, oh well, I just can't do nothing but laugh at that. So whatever. Like grasshoppers are quite cute, aren't they? So I just like leave that on here because I just can't do nothing but laugh. It's not making me miserable. It's just making me feel it's really funny. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll just keep that on there because I think it's funny myself. I don't think they meant it funny. I think they meant it insulting, but I just think it's funny. So I'm just like picturing this grasshopper. It's just hilarious. So yeah, but you know, it's important to like be authentic, and I can't, you know, there's a lot of, because I am in the entrepreneur space, which I was on in since 2012. So I didn't find out I'm asexual till 2014 and start this channel till 2015. You know, I know quite a lot of psychology they use in sales and marketing, but you know, like some of it is just like I just, you know, it's doing things on purpose, but for me sometimes it's just too money driven, you know. It's like I can't be doing that. And I've had people suggesting stuff to do on this channel. It's like, yeah, but it's not who I am. One person a long time ago got very, very narky with me because I wouldn't do wigs. They're like, you should do wigs because wigs is trending. I'm like, I'm not going to do videos that, one, I'm not interested in wigs, and two, I'm not just going to do something because it's trending. Yeah, wigs, Lee. What's wigs got to do with asexuality? F all. It's got nothing to do with any of the themes that I teach on here. It's got nothing to do with dating, nothing to do with relationships. Well, of course you could link it to these things if you really wanted to, but it was like reviewing wigs. It's like it's got nothing to do. And actually, they got really, really bad. They were my Facebook friend, and they got really assy with me, and they were writing negative stuff on their Facebook about me because I wouldn't accept it. They were going, "Oh, you've got such a low subscriber count. Ha ha ha! You're doing really bad. You should do this because this is trending." Blah blah blah. I'm thinking, well, this is coming from a person that doesn't even have their own YouTube channel. It's not even. It's just you know. It's just like behind a computer screen. I mean, yeah, I don't have a ton of subscribers. If I did it formulaic like everyone else does, then I might have far more, but it's not who I am. I can't go around copying someone else. My channel's unique doing this late night chat show. I don't know any other show that regularly does a live stream chat show for asexuals. I just don't know any. It's my unique USP, unique selling point, if you like. I'm not particularly selling anything. Well, obviously I'm talking about my books, but there, you know, these are like, I don't make much money on these, but you know, I like writing. Some people don't understand those of us who refuse to be widget sellers. Yeah, I'm just like, you know, I'm not going to just sell something. I'm not just going to do stuff on my channel that I don't agree with. Yes, I do food videos. Some people are like, why do you post food videos? I'm like, because people love watching them. I get like some of my food videos, shorts videos, get over 400 views on. I'll get less on an educational video. I might get 60 views on some educational videos. But yeah, I post a video, a shorts video of food, and I get 400, not all the time, but sometimes I get over 400 views or more. And it's like, well, if people love food and I eat food, I'll just like post some videos of my food, and you should go through through what's in it. And I hate cooking, and I that's the most ironical thing ever. I absolutely hate cooking. I can't stand doing cooking. But people love watching what I eat, and it seems to make them happy because they love viewing it. And I'm like, okay, if you love viewing it, it doesn't cost me anything to do it. It's quite interesting with the channel. Of course, asexuals have a joke, don't we, in the asexual community, that cake is better than sex, but in general, food is better than sex. And I think a lot of asexuals are foodies. I think they love their food because they're not focused on sex. They just want to chill out with food and a movie or whatever, or food and gaming or whatever they want to do. So I think a lot of asexuals are into food, and that's why I post videos. And people, you know, I try out and eat healthy quite a lot of the time, and I like, you know, I like doing them because I'm so used to doing them, and people love watching them. I'm like, why should I stop doing the videos if I'm getting hundreds of views on them? Why? There's clearly a part of my audience loves watching them. And I do enough different videos on this channel. Anyone who doesn't want to watch them can just not bother watching the shorts, and they can come on the live stream like this, can't they? Or click through some of my playlists. They don't have to watch those if they don't want, but I find they get loads of views, some of them. And we actually need food to live, not sex. Exactly, Chatterbox. We need food to live, not sex, yeah. And I usually list the ingredients. Like I say what I'm eating. True, says Lee. You know, and so I just like, I don't stick to one specific thing all the time, because I think like asexual life is varied. You know, I love posting stuff about my the aquarium and the zoo, and that it's interesting to see how much people, an asexual person for example, can pack into their life. Because there's some people that say, oh, life must be so boring because you don't have sex, like it must just be terrible. I'm like, no, actually, I live a great life. I like go to theme parks. Obviously, I can't at the moment with my back injuries, but I go to zoos, I go to aquariums, I go to the cinema. I'm having a great time with all the sex I'm not having. You know, I'm writing books, I'm YouTubing, I'm loving my life in all these ways, you know, and I'm like, my life's really busy. I think when that people are so focused on sex, they kind of like let that overshadow or override a lot of the other aspects of a relationship or life. And so that becomes such a focal feature that sometimes they don't pack enough into their life. Most of the heterosexual guys I've talked to over the last 10 years on dating sites, because that's how long I've been using them, but I'm taking a detox break from it at the moment. Most of the guys I've talked about, they talked to, sorry, I should say, and talked about on this channel as well. Most of them, they don't have that interesting life. They're heterosexuals. Their main thing in a relationship is sex, really. And it's like, I'm thinking, you know, when I talk to them, I'm like, well, what else? You know, what do you like doing? Like, what do you do with your life? And what do you like doing with your partner? Lee, plus imagine all the energy they expend on thinking about it or pursuing it. Exactly. Chatterbox, having a conversation in this space is better than sex. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just think, you know, like I see heterosexuals like, and when they come onto the dating scene, I'm thinking, what have you got to give me? I mean, if all you do is are interested in sex and you haven't got much else to say for yourself, it's a pretty boring life, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, where's the variety? And I pack so much into my life. Actually, I'm too busy usually, like too busy to have much time off. But I'm having a lot more time off at the moment because I'm like obviously having to put my health first and keep my keep my mind sane. I was going to say sometimes on this channel, I end up putting two words together that never belong together. I think someday I should do a dictionary of new words using an amalgamation of two words. What was the one I used to say? Confident, I used to say, which is a cross between comfortable and confident. Confident. Instead of confident, it's confident. I made that word up, but I just thought, oh, maybe I should do a dictionary one day of like made up amalgamated words and see if it takes off. I just ended up putting two words together. And it's just like easy because then someone will say, oh, I'm instead of confident, I'm confident, comfortable and confident at the same time. Saves using two words, you know. I don't know. Anyway, I guess I better go and get some sleep at some point. I knew a guy who always used the phrase as fat as a pancake. Okay, I thought pancakes were thin. Or have I missed something? I can't eat pancakes, but when I used to eat them, I thought the whole point of a pancake is they're quite thin because you have to flip them and wrap them over. So when they said instead of flat as a pancake, oh right. Oh, I didn't actually get that. Sorry. I didn't understand that. Oh right, okay. I think that's more of a pun, isn't it? But I usually amalgamate two words together so that you're saying two things at the same time, but saying them with one word, if that makes sense. I'm like amalgamating two words into one. But sometimes I end up doing it on this channel by accident, and I'm like, oh, that word sounds quite good. And then I'm thinking, is it a real word? I'm like, no, Sandra, you just made that thing up. I'm like, oh, sometimes it sounds that good that I forget I've made it up. I'm like, that's not how real people speak. You're not a real person. No, I'm joking. But I'm not joking about the fact that most people don't speak like that. But yeah, so it's very interesting. We can generally get the gist. So yeah, I've got the film today. The Purple Crayon film. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I better go and get some sleep. Otherwise I'll just end up chatting all night. I've been chatting to you for which has been great, nearly 3 hours. 2 hours and 48 minutes to be precise. And I hope the sound's better tonight because I have had sound problems. As Lee kindly pointed out to me, I had sound problems on the last video. But I've done an update to my MacBook Pro and cleaned the speakers, so it should be good. Chatterbox, right, guys. See you again soon. Sound was spot on tonight. Oh, that's good. I got it on my usual levels and I've fixed the sound issue. Thank you so much, Lee. Thank you, Chatterbox, for being here. Really appreciate you. It sounded great. Oh, that's good. Thank you for the feedback and lots of love to you all. I'll see you on the next video live stream. Don't forget to grab a copy of Diary Confessions book, Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, and yes, best-selling Asexual Perspectives book. These are on Amazon. and you can usually order them from all good bookshops. And I'll see you soon on the next video or live stream, which will be a movie review of the movie I'm going to see. I'm excited for it. See you soon. Lots of love. Thumbs up this video if you like it. It helps raise awareness of the channel Asexuality. Get some eyeballs on it. And share it if you think someone may benefit from this content. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because some people view this channel but they don't actually subscribe to it. I've got a lot of people that view this channel a lot, but they don't subscribe to it. So subscribe to it. You can put your subscriptions on private if you want, if you're worried about people knowing you subscribe to an asexual channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you get actually notified of every time I go live or post a new video. Good night, sleep well, says Lee. Thank you so much. And it's night time in the middle of the night. It's nearly 4 a.m. here. My bedtime is 4 a.m. usually. And I'll see you soon next video live stream. So good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are. And I'll see you soon. Lots of love. Stay ace. Bye. Bye.